And we welcome you to a special edition of, well, this is OSN. It's Versage here in the palatial states in beautiful Ashton, Ontario. Zach McGibbon with us from Belleville, and the news that has just hit Ottawa. The Ottawa Senators have traded, Zach, have traded Brady Tkachuk to the Florida Panthers. In return, Ottawa receiving 2 first-round picks this year, number 9 and number 25 overall. And remember, they got their pick back at the end of the first round. Mm-hmm. They have a first-round pick in 2029 and a second-round pick in 2030. This is huge news on a Sunday, Father's Day evening here in the nation's capital. Brady Tkachuk, now a Florida Panther. Your immediate reaction, Zach McGibbon?
Wow, that was my immediate reaction. I know on this show we had been kind of talking about what's the future Brady past, this upcoming season. What is the commitment to the team? And even then, with everything that has been discussed here on the show throughout the season, throughout the playoffs, everything we've heard on his podcast with his brother Matthew Tkachuk, which we will now be a teammate of in Florida, I still, once you see it and see it happening, I do think this comes across as a pretty big shock that it's happening.
What about the return? The Senators don't get any players back into the lineup. But look, this is a team that the cupboard is not very full. And I do at least understand the number 9, the number 25. They have the number 33 selection, or I guess 32, because their pick forfeited. And they fall to the end of the first round. So 9, 25, and 32 this year, and a first round pick in a number of years down the road in 2029, and a second round pick in 2030. But we are going to change what our cupboard looks like, and we're going to change the makeup, the dynamic of our team. This does feel a lot, Zach, like Brady Tkachuk quietly behind the scenes wanted out now. And look, you've been on this show, you've listened to this show. Things have not been the same since Brady Tkachuk came back from the Olympics. They just haven't. And from the media to the fans' reaction to Brady not playing that well, he's going to remain in Ottawa. Brady's tired of answering the questions. Remember he said that at the press conference?
I do remember that.
He's tired, Zach, of answering the questions.
Yep.
That for me, sometimes you read a lot into what players say, and we too much so that sometimes people say, you know what, you're doing too much. You're reading too much into this.
Right.
But the body language and the actual language used from Brady Tkachuk, man, I think it's told us a lot. He just never really came out and said it, but really he wanted out, and he's wanted out for a long time.
Yeah, and that seems to be the insinuation as well as, more of this story develops. And of course, we're live. We'll probably learn some more details as the show goes along here, but saw the initial reporting from Pierre LeBrun from TSN and The Athletic about the trade going through. And one of the things that kind of stood out to me in his reporting, at least through his posts on X, quote, "My understanding is the Senators also had conversations with Carolina and Vegas, other teams that were on Tkachuk's list. I also think Minnesota was on the list, 4-team list, but in the end, Brady obviously wanted to go join his brother in Florida. Senators made the best of a tough situation." So,
yeah, this is a trade demand. This is I want out. And was it kept quiet? Yes. good on, I guess, Brady Tkachuk, and good on the Ottawa Senators for not, Dylan Larkin doesn't look great in Detroit. But man, oh man, oh man. For all those who thought that Brady Tkachuk wanted out, well, he did want out. Julian is in. Gentlemen, says, I fear this was not unexpected. The timing was for sure. At the end of the day, this move cannot be the end of it. Ottawa has no depth on the wings now, and that needs to be addressed. Brady Tkachuk traded to the Florida Panthers. And, there's a lot that's happening right now as people are intaking this information. Number one is Brady Tkachuk. They have traded Brady Tkachuk to a team in their own division. In their own division. Did they get enough? My first reaction is no. Look, we're spoiled. We've watched Brady Tkachuk. We know what he can do at his ceiling. We have both a micro and a macro view of Brady Tkachuk, and I think some others around the league don't. They have this macro view of Brady Tkachuk. But this is one of you're trading your captain and your best player to a team in the division, and you didn't get a player back. That would be very concerning to me right now. Now, look, number 9 and number 25 overall this year, combined with their own, that's 3 picks, 9, 25, and 32. That's a lot of draft capital. Like they're suddenly in a very strong position going into the draft. But really, the first round pick in 2029, that player, Zach, isn't going to be a guy for like a 2020. You're looking at least like 6 years, 7 years down the road. Like, that's great that they got him, but a player that might be decent in your lineup in 6 or 7 years. Holy cow. Richie is in. Says, makes sense in a way with the social media likes the pro-America memes and events of late. UFC on the lawn. Look, I don't know that his political leanings are as much of a factor. People will want to talk about that, but Brady Tkachuk is not a Florida Panther right now because of the fact that he seems to lean one way in politics. He's not. Brady Tkachuk, I think, has not wanted to be here for a while. And it looks like has orchestrated his way out of town and has just done it behind the scenes. But this Nexus is in. Good job, Sens. You just fumbled a power forward. Keep it rolling. Really easy to get a player of that type. Sarcastic remark.
Yep.
Julian also says 2 things are possible here. Ottawa uses the extra draft capital and packages one or more of these in a trade for a top-tier winger, or Ottawa is aiming for a quick retool. Well, here would be my question, Julian, and everybody. And look, Brady Tkachuk just got traded to the Florida Panthers. Yep. But, Zach, is this the end of it?
Of the moves?
Yeah. Well, let me re-ask that.
Yep.
Is this the last time that somebody's going to ask out of Ottawa in the near future?
That's an interesting question, because I think Brady, if you were with what we know now in terms of Tkachuk, in my head, my immediate reaction is no, but I'm just thinking through of some of the players, like, if you want to lean into, he wants to play in the US and he wants to be, closer to home, quote unquote. Well, Jake Sanderson was also on that American team too. We haven't heard anything about Jake Sanderson wanting to leave. So I don't think so. the way that these picks are aligned now, we also have to remember with the 32nd pick, they can't move that pick whatsoever. So because of
they're not allowed to trade that pick.
They're not allowed to trade that pick. So
Yeah,
it would have to be
point.
utilized in the 9 and 25 if they want to utilize something for the trade package.
Yep.
Could this be an opportunity for them to use those picks into a package and try and get, like what Julian's saying about a top line winner, or trying to get a better player down the line? For sure, that could be something that they could look at. They've got the capital to work with that now. If you're looking player wise, I know we were talking about, other players to maybe look at to move on from to try and help build this team. I don't think in the immediate right now, but I think in terms of utilizing that capital, I can't rule that out at all of them trying to get somebody.
Mm-hmm. The bigger question is, where are the Ottawa Senators right now? Are they a team that is going to retool quickly and go for it? Or are they actually retooling or like rebuilding this club for the next 3, 4, 5 years down the road? Which is it? I would hope the answer is the first one. And I would hope that right now, Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson, who are the two guys in Ottawa, what are they doing? Are they still going to be here? And if they are and they're committed, then can Ottawa bring in a couple of people to help supplement and, play with those guys? I mean, their cap situation right now, gets a little bit better with, more than $8 million coming off of the books and not being replaced right now. So you do have some options when it comes to that. It's really hard sometimes for me to, like, I say I don't think they got enough, but sometimes if you get a player and you get a player back in this trade and you're not sure about them long term, it's better to have draft picks and room under the cap. It really is. Mm-hmm. Like, to be stuck with another player that makes, even 6, 7, 8 million, that you're thinking, oh, well, at least they got, a player back that's an established NHL player, but that player doesn't turn out to be a really, really great player because he got traded for Brady Tkachuk. If he doesn't turn out to be a great player, all of a sudden that's a liability and not an asset. A lot of reaction coming in. Yep. Love to hear you in the comments. Ethan says the return provides nothing. Nexus says Batherson won't renew, in my opinion. He's at an age where he has to push for a cup. And Ethan says in a window, you want a player. So I agree you want a player, but you don't necessarily have to get that player from Florida with the cap room. You don't have to do that.
Yep. This could be something that could lead to a player down the line, or at least upcoming into the draft.
Right. You have a lot of cap room, and look, I'm not a big proponent myself of overpaying Drake Batherson. And this is not a show about the contract of Drake Batherson.
Right.
But like, this is not, oh my God, Brady left. We better give Drake Batherson $8 or $9 million because of his point total. I wouldn't be doing that. Don't let one move scare you into making 2 or 3 other moves to make up for it. Do not do that if you're the Senators. So the first question I have is for Jake Sanderson and Tim Stützle. Are they committed here down the road? Because if they're committed and you can really, truly build around them, to me, this isn't that bad. Like, I don't know what happened to Brady Tkachuk this year. I really don't. But his body language, his desire to be here didn't match sometimes the words that he said about being here. Julian says there are rumors that apparently Steve Staios tried to get Lundell and Verhaeghe in this trade, but clearly that didn't happen. I actually still think they didn't get enough, but when I say that, I don't know that bringing a player in like Carter Verhaeghe going to solve your Brady Tkachuk problems?
No.
I don't think so.
Lundell would be better, but
yeah, Lundell's a good player for sure.
Yeah, but not going to solve the problems like you mentioned.
Is Shane Pinto staying? Right? It's Thomas Chabot. Now, I think we saw how good Thomas Chabot was in the playoffs and what he played through to be able to get there, but he's also making a lot of money for not a top pair defenseman. Man, where are the Ottawa Senators right now? Like, what is the direction of this team, Zach?
It's a great question. I just, the more as more information comes in and the more that like what you're mentioning, the more it's trying to settle in and more I'm trying to think of like, okay, what is the direction of the Sens here? I like my instant reaction is like, this is not a rebuild, but more of like, okay, let's retool or regroup, like get some additional players and utilize what we have here from these assets and try and get something to build around. And I think we saw when Tkachuk was hurt at the start of the season this year, it's not like they nosedived this team when he was gone. So is this really a bad team that we're looking at here? Coming,
not like they nosedived. They played really, really well without him.
Exactly. So
to the point where when he came back, yeah, they didn't play as well when he came back.
Yep. It's true. Like
now that later on in the season, they were playing very good hockey no matter who was in the lineup.
Yep.
So my question is this: in the middle of the locker room, have the players known that this was going to happen for a long time? Did they sense that Brady Tkachuk was not completely bought in as the captain and the face of the Ottawa Senators? Did they think something was up? Did they sense that Brady Tkachuk was not fully committed to the team? I don't know. From the outside, it looked a little different. I'm not on the inside. From the outside, it looked different to me, especially in the second half of the year. So if they knew or if they thought something, a couple of schools of thought can happen. Number one, oh, well, Brady's leaving. What are we going to do? Well, maybe I'll look for something else as well. Or Brady's leaving. He wasn't fully committed anyway. Maybe we can be a little bit better without him. And selfishly, maybe I can have a bigger role on the team. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Yes. Yeah. What timing, eh, for this? And it's interesting you bring that up too, because like obviously now the captaincy becomes open for the Ottawa Senators. Who's going to be that guy? Like my immediate reaction is probably Stützle comes in and takes the C, but that kind of goes back to your question of is he committed, or like how did he view this situation? Because by all accounts, seems like Stützle and Tkachuk were friendly and friends. And where does kind of Stützle look at this now as an opportunity to kind of be the focal point of this team, now be the leader of this team moving forward? So it's one of those deals. And again, to kind of, I wanted to mention something too with something that was brought up about the return. I agree with you. I was hoping if you're going to trade a guy like Tkachuk, you would get a player involved in that deal as well.
Within the division.
Especially within the division. And the fact that they weren't able to get one of those players, I saw Lundell, I didn't read about Verhaeghe, but not being able to get a player like that does kind of offer me a little bit of concern. But we've come on here, and as somebody that covers the Belleville Senators around here, the cupboard needs some refilling. And like going to those AHL games, it's like, it's great. You get to see Carter Yakubchuk play, and there's some prospects that are there, but you could tell just when you do a comparison of rosters between some of the other, like you look at this Marlies team, and that just won the Calder, right?
Yeah.
And they've got some, and they've got some, and that's a team that's also, not doing well draft picks wise, but they have a better cupboard, comparatively speaking, than what the Senators currently have. And you see what they were able to do on their Calder run. It's something that the fact that they're able to get some picks coming in to help them, I think is a good thing to try and help for future, but it's also going to be tough to sell to the fan base when you have just gotten to the playoffs for the second straight year. You got swept in the playoffs, and I know you'll have some Sens fans talk about, well, comparatively speaking with the other teams, how they faced off against Carolina. I know. I'm not saying I'm them. I'm just saying you'll have some that will say that. At the end of the day, they got swept.
Yep.
They didn't win. And this is the second straight year where, first year you could at least excuse that the Sens didn't, new team, like getting used to it, getting their feet wet in playoff time. And then they brought it to the Leafs later on. And it's like, okay, this is an opportunity for them to grow from this. Then they go to this Carolina squad and just really didn't do a lot until really the third and fourth games, I would say, where it really seemed like, okay, they ready to play here. But this is a team that needed some players coming in, prospects wise, just from me going to those B-Sens games, and you just look at these prospects reports that come in. So they would definitely need that, but it is going to be a bit of a tough sell for the fan base. So that's like, okay, we're now in playoff form. We got to get ready for playoffs.
Well, not only that, around the league again, what does Ottawa look like around the league to other players? You know what happened in Ottawa this year? Linus Ullmark went and left on mental leave, and it was a crap storm.
Yep.
Around him leaving, and the rumors and all of the things that were happening around Linus Ullmark. So their goalie went on mental leave. A whole bunch of rumors were floated. The Senators vehemently had to deny them. But around the league, you're like, well, how did all of those get started? Do I want to go to a small market Canadian team and be in a crap storm with rumors?
Yep.
And then the captain has left. Like, this is not, hey, the Ottawa Senators out of the blue traded Marian Hossa for Danny Heatley back in the day. And everyone's like, oh my God, and Marian Hossa didn't want to leave. This is Brady Tkachuk wanted out. The captain wanted out of Ottawa. And made it very, very clear that there were other teams that he wanted to go to on the list. That's what's happened in 2025, 2026.
Yeah. And to go off of that too, not just rumors, Lee, like rumors that were so bad circulating within, Twitter or whatever, that the Sens felt the need they had to go out and address it.
Yeah.
They felt that that they had to go and put a statement to it and put themselves and acknowledge them. That's how bad the rumors got. Usually in a lot of those cases, you just kind of let them like, it's Twitter trolls or whatever, but they felt the need to come out and say something.
Yep. Which around the league, we asked at the time on this show, around the league, how would other players look into that? Would they look at it like their team is defending their players to the upteenth degree? Or would they look at it and go, the Senators brought attention around the league to that? In Ottawa, yeah, it was going on for sure on social media. But they brought attention around the world and around the league to that situation. So I don't know how players and their wives and their kids and their partners, I don't know how they look at these things. Do they look at it like, wow, the team was awesome, they really had the back of the player? Or did they look at it and go, what is going on in Ottawa? And I don't know if I need that.
Yep. The fact that that's even a conversation is just like,
right. And then the captain, who is the captain of the nation's capital. Yes, he's captain of the Ottawa Senators. We understand that. But Ottawa is the capital of this country. And very often, Brady Tkachuk politically was leaning the other way, and people didn't like that here. I like to keep things on the ice and go, okay, well, everyone's saying, well, once Brady Tkachuk gets to the playoffs, we're going to see beast mode. We're going to see like the best player in the NHL because Brady Tkachuk was built for playoffs. How's Brady Tkachuk done in the playoffs?
Not very well, Lee.
No. Not very well, Zach. Now, some of that, the team's not great. But I don't know. Was he an impact guy? He certainly wasn't an impact guy this year.
No.
I know he had 7 points in 6 games against the Leafs, but I didn't think he was like the best player on the ice. You have to ask yourself, and I don't know the answers to these. Have the injuries caught up to him already with the way that he plays the game? Or did he just, look, this is a tough word to use, but like, did he mentally quit? I can tell you that if you're 1,000% committed to your team, you're not thinking about leaving in the middle of the year. And this has clearly been the case. So I don't know how you can say he was 1,000,000% mentally committed. There's so many tentacles from this.
Right.
There's so many tentacles. So have the injuries caught up to Brady Tkachuk? I don't know. His play doesn't look great. He has not been the same guy. But how much of that was injury and how much of that was, yeah, you know what? I'm going to try and say the right thing and do the right, but you know what? I'm out. I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, they worked with him to pick his team. But you're not dealing from a position of strength, and you have to factor that in. You're working with the player. Crit Commander says Ottawa won the trade. Well, it's hard to say they won it when Brady Tkachuk is still a really, really good player in the NHL.
Yep.
Like, you come on these shows right now and it's like, oh, all the negative things that come up in the last 2 or 3 months. But Brady Tkachuk is a star in the National Hockey League. He's a gold medal winning U.S. player, right? Like, he's a very, very good player. Ottawa did not get a player back. So how you can say they won the trade, I don't think you can.
Well, that's the thing. Whenever you do the trades, you got to put up the articles that you grade them. It's like, who won this trade?
Yeah,
and
who won the trade? Tell me about the first round pick in 2029 that might make the league in 2032.
Yeah.
Tell me about him. And, well, that guy's going to be awesome.
Yeah. We might have seen that player when we went down for the OHL draft coverage, a few weeks ago.
Right. Maybe. Like, that player right now getting drafted at 18 years old in 2029 is 15. 15 years old. You can't say that player, whoever it is going to be really good. You can't do it.
And this is clearly Florida regrouping and going on trying to get on another cup run here.
Yep.
Brady Tkachuk.
From their perspective, we haven't really talked about that yet. But from the Florida Panthers perspective, this year was a one-off. They had a bunch of injuries. They had Bobrovsky not playing well. Tkachuk was gone. Of course, Barkov was gone all year long. And now you're going to get a healthy Barkov, a healthy Matt Tkachuk, and Brady Tkachuk back to your lineup. Brad Marchand's going to still be there. Ekblad was hurt this year.
Yep.
And
if you're Florida, you don't give up any of the players from your roster to get Brady Tkachuk. You still have a lot of that core roster.
Exactly. They're going for it this year. Julian says, in the same breath, while the trade on paper doesn't look great, at the same time, I think a trade involving a major piece was inevitable. I think the core had stagnated. Now, that I don't disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
We were saying down the stretch with this hockey club, whose team is it? Well, it kind of looks like Tim Stutz's team. Kind of looks like Jake Sanderson's team. Doesn't look like Brady Tkachuk's team. We were saying that, weren't we? We're saying that a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And those two players down the stretch and into the playoffs were a lot better than Brady. Between the injury at the beginning of the year and going to the Olympics, that clearly was a massive focus for him. Coming back from the Olympics and not really getting up to speed. Never really being that dominant player once he got back from the Olympics, and then getting swept in the first round of the playoffs. I understand why people were down on him, but make no mistake, you can find all Senator fans right now and go, yeah, he needed to be better. He needed to be better.
Mm-hmm. And not just Senators fans too, by the way. You remember before the Islanders game, there was the pep talk to him saying, hey, you need to step up as well from coach. Yep. So this is not just fans going on podcasts and, YouTube live streams or whatever, giving out. This has been something that has been well documented within the Sens organization.
But nobody would have said in Ottawa, I want to trade Brady Tkachuk for a few draft picks.
No.
Nobody would have said that. Well, that's what's happened here today. If you're just joining us, you're joining us because Brady Tkachuk has been traded to Florida. In return, the Ottawa Senators get the number 9 and the number 25 overall pick this year. They also get a first-round pick in 2029, a second-round pick in 2030. And the captain is gone. But trading a guy in your own division that's your captain of your team, it's a fresh start. Crit Commander says it's not just a few draft picks, it's 3 firsts. Yes, but 3 firsts that 2 of them you would hope would be in the 20s, because in 2029, wouldn't you hope to be pretty good? So the best thing you got was a 9th overall pick, and you don't know what the 2029 pick is going to be, but the best thing you got is a 9th overall pick. People look, I've covered umpteen drafts. I've been at 10 live drafts in the National Hockey League, and I've covered them for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can pick out a couple of drafts that in the 20s You're like, oh man, that's a good player. That's a good player. Like we go over the 2015 draft all the time. And in the 20s, there's some really, really good players taken.
Yep.
But go back and look at the last 20 years of NHL drafts and tell me the players between 20 and 30 that all of them were dominant in the National Hockey League, and I would beg to differ. There is a drop-off, and the drop-off is usually that and again, there are anomalies.
Yep.
2012 was a terrible draft. But usually it's 10, 12 guys, and then there's a next tier, and then there's a following tier. When people say first round picks, it's like, okay, Ottawa got their first round pick back this year. Yeah, it's 32nd. Not a lot of, here come the Shane Pinto fans. I forget what number he was taken, but early second round, they got a really good player in Shane Pinto. But they also took Lassie Thompson at 19 that year. The same year they took Shane Pinto. It does. I'm a big believer. I think more than most, I'm a big believer in cap space. If you have the proper people at the top making decisions, I'm a big believer in cap space. Don't just bring a player back that's going to eat up most of that cap space that you just had in Brady Tkachuk, and you bring back a player because you got to get a player back. I applaud the Ottawa Senators. I really do. I don't know if it's going to work out. But Bobby Ryan coming to make up for Daniel Alfredson leaving. Right?
Yep.
Bobby Ryan coming. Bobby Ryan signed a big extension. Bobby Ryan sucked after that, to be honest.
Certainly not to the standard they were hoping for from him.
So I hope for the Ottawa Senators that right now they have a really, really good handle on their core to know what it is that they want. And their core consists of, I was going to say in no particular order, but Stützle and Sanderson 1-2 are 1-2.
Yep.
Shane Pinto is there. Starts to get a bit thin after that for me. When you start talking about Drake Batherson, you start talking about Thomas Chabot, you start talking about Ridley Gregg. Some of those other guys, yes, you'd like, but are they all committed? Do they want to be here? Is a bigger role for Tim Stützle going to make him an even bigger superstar? Jake Sanderson's one of the best defensemen in the league. I don't care what you tell me. If they're committed, then the Ottawa Senators have some space and some draft capital to make this team better coming up. And as you said, they don't have in fact, their cupboard's bare. Like we saw in the playoffs. We saw it.
Yep.
Jorian Donovan is playing for the team. Cam Crotter's playing for the team. Cam Crotty. And no offense to those guys, but they're out playing massive games down the stretch because they don't have anybody.
Yep. It's true. When the injuries were happening, people coming to me and saying, okay, well, who's going to help fill in? And I'm like, well, Jorian Donovan's still kind of new. I don't know if he'd be, now he ended up being all right. He didn't have many minutes to work off of.
Yakimchuk ended up being not bad.
Yeah.
With the
he's probably going to be as part of that defensive pair next year.
Yeah.
They're very high on him.
With the offensive game, he did not look out of place.
No.
And with all due respect to the AHL, sometimes players can get up to the NHL and be better because it's a little bit more, you know what to expect. And quite frankly, you have better coaches and you have better teachers.
Yep.
And you're playing in practice with better players every day. Sometimes guys can get better that way. I don't know if that's the case for Carter Yakimchuk, but other than that, they don't have anybody, Zach. They don't have anybody. So them replacing their draft capital and not being concerned with bringing a star player or a name player back in this trade is, I think it took some cojones for them to do that. I really do. I think it took some balls for them to say, you know what, we're going to make sure that our cupboards are full. I still don't know if they got enough, but they didn't end up bringing back a player that they were forced to bring back, and now they can go out and make a trade. They have some draft capital to be able to do that. We see it in the NFL all the time.
Yep.
All the time. Teams that have 2 and 3 first round picks, what do? They move up. Or they trade for somebody else.
Yep.
So many tentacles here for Brady Tkachuk being traded to the Florida Panthers by the Ottawa Senators and bringing in 4 draft picks to be able to do that. If you want to get in on the comments, you can. Like Julian, who says there are a few players that could keep this team competitive right now. Owen Tippett is at the top of that list for me personally. This isn't, and Julian, you've been in on the chat before. Respect your hockey opinions very much. This isn't about them being competitive right now. This is about, they have just traded their captain and franchise player to a team in their division. This has to be now a new reset at getting to the top and not just being competitive. Has to be. What do people think outside? If you're listening from outside of the Ottawa market right now, get in on the comments, please, because I'm eager to hear from you about where this team is and how they're looked at by people that are not in this market. Do I think the Ottawa Senators can be faulted for the Linus Ullmark situation? I don't know what happened behind the scenes and why Linus Ullmark needed to go away and all the things that happened. The one thing that you can have an opinion on is how they handled it with the damning press release.
Yep.
Because they did that. That wasn't rumor or speculation or innuendo.
Yep. That's on the record.
They back their player, but fan the flames. I don't know how that's looked at around the league. I really don't. I think maybe it's a player-to-player situation. Going, I don't know, like some rumors were going around and all of a sudden it got so out of control that the team had to put out this crazy press release, and then the captain wants out. From the outside, that's how it looks, I think. Danny is in and says, I expect them to trade these picks for good players to replace Brady. Okay.
Players plural.
Well, yeah, because you're not ever going to trade for one player that's going to be equal to Brady Tkachuk.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not. Those players aren't out there. I hate to go in the middle, but I could see a hybrid. I could see bringing in a player and trading one of the picks to end up satisfying some of that and making them more competitive while keeping a couple of these picks and making sure that you are replacing what you do not have in the system. Julian says at 9, you aren't getting an NHL ready product. Most likely. Says Ottawa certainly behind the 8 ball now. As they stand, they can't be considered a team ready to contend for the division, let alone a playoff spot right now. Again, remember how well they played without Brady Tkachuk this year.
Yep. I wouldn't say they can't compete for a playoff spot. I think that's
No,
a
I
little
would.
bit too much.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
Richie says never have expectations with the Senators. Always a high possibility they'll be too high. Thought you were talking about the Red Blacks there for a second.
I was gonna say
MBB is hit. Marcus Wade's comments about Ullmark, the captain's silence, among other things, got Brady traded. I think you said Walt there. Crit says Toronto market here being pessimistic over having 3 first-round picks and a second in exchange for the NHL's Scott Malkinson is unexpected. The scouting ability of the Senators will be paramount. You'll have to remind me who Scott Malkinson is. But
I think that also might be the point of that.
Yeah, but the Leafs don't have a massive cupboard. Yeah, they won the Calder Cup. I don't know that I look down there and go, wow, there's 4 or 5 guys that are going to make that team a whole lot different coming up. They got some work to do too, but this isn't about the Leafs. And I understand where you're coming from, Crit, about you're in Toronto and that's your situation with your team. But this isn't just about comparing Ottawa to Toronto. It's not. Yep. It's about, for the Senators, they are not deep. Doomslayer says this guarantees nothing for Florida. They still need goaltending. Yeah, I'm going to go on the Sergei Bobrovsky had a down year because the rest of the team wasn't very good in front of him, and he also just didn't play well. And I think a lot of players in the middle of the year checked out for Florida. They're like, I don't know. Other teams have done it lately, but what it must be like to go to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals in the middle of June and then try and be ready for the beginning of the season. Like at some point that just catches up, and this year caught up to the Florida Panthers. But I kind of feel like they're gonna get right back up on the horse here. They're too talented, too much experience. There are too many injuries. Bobrovsky wasn't very good last year, but he also did not have a very good team in front of him. You go through some of those Florida lineups in the middle of the year, you're like, oh my God. Like, I don't know who 6, 7, 8 of these guys are. This is not the same Florida Panthers team.
Yeah. And now there is the question about Bobrovsky because he is a unrestricted free agent coming in. So there is a question on if he's going to come back to Florida either way. But
yep.
But yeah, I mean, look, I'm just kind of looking through the chat. It is very active. Appreciate everybody that's commenting. Obviously, big news out of Ottawa Senators land. But I think, to go back to that point about this guarantees nothing for Florida. It's true. Nothing is ever a guarantee with these trades. Nothing ever is. Like, there's no guarantee Florida is going to move up and they're going to win the cup next year with him, but it certainly makes them better. I don't think there's any argument to that. They are now a better team having Brady Tkachuk on their squad. And if you're Brady Tkachuk, you're not as much of a high profile, much needed option on that Florida team as you were with the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah. Just like Vegas and Marner going there. Marner didn't be the face of the franchise.
Yep.
Brady Tkachuk doesn't have to go and be the face of the franchise.
He doesn't have to be the captain for Florida. Like he doesn't have those responsibilities. He might get put on the top line or whatever, but it's again, I get what you're saying there about the guarantees or whatnot, Doomslayer, but this is obviously a win now mode for Florida. And we've seen teams do this. And why do you think all these players, we were talking about Dylan Larkin earlier, why do you think all of a sudden these players, Dylan Larkin on his no trade list, teams that he's willing to go to, one of them was Florida. Why do you think they would want to go to Florida? Because they feel like they could contend for a cup.
Yeah, and look, there was a bond there with the American players for sure. And I think it's quite clear. We talked about Brady Tkachuk. Even when the players came into town, he would go out to dinner with all of them. Like a Matt Boldy and Brock Faber, and
was there for that when they came in. And so,
and you don't blame them, but there's a bond there that is unbreakable when you win a gold medal together and you're proud for your country. What does Austin Matthews do? I don't know. That's been pretty quiet, but Brady Tkachuk, I think a lot of signs were pointing to, look, his wife's from the U.S. He had his children in the U.S. His brother plays there. His dad's there.
Yep.
They were very vocal. They're on the podcast. And I think we can look back to and know on the podcast and know that they were talking about Ottawa and not Florida.
Yep.
And so, but people coming out and saying, there were people in this market that were out apologizing when they're like, oh, no, he was talking about Florida. And, okay.
No, come on, guys.
Come on.
Like, you gotta, the subtlety hammer wasn't exactly subtle,
No,
you know?
Like we're smarter than that. Don't let people's actions and words fool you with what they do after that.
Yep.
Don't let it.
It was a big talking point when they had their dad, ironically, as we talk on Father's Day, their dad was on as well and talking about, I think it was to Brady saying they're not doing enough with you. I was like, oh no, it's not talking about this team. It's like, come on, guys. Come on. It's you fooled me once, if it was a one-time thing, but this was not a one-time thing on that podcast. And again, with the podcast, they choose what could get edited in and out and released for public consumption. And they felt the need to keep it in. They could have easily cut out the parts and it's like, I don't know, there could be some confusion here. Let's just cut this part out. It's not even necessary for the podcast, but no, they left it in and they published it out to the world for all of us to see.
Yeah, yell it louder, Zach, because it's true.
Yes,
they had ample opportunity to not have that go public.
Yep, multiple times, and they said, nope, this is good. Let it on out there. And now look what happened. He's in Florida. It's pretty indicative that he wanted out.
Yeah.
So anyway,
but you look at the roster for the Florida Panthers, and people get way too. They went to the Cup Finals 3 years. They won 3 years in a row. They didn't have a good year this year. Everybody got hurt. But you go through their lineup with the guys when they're all healthy. And I know that Doomslayer was in saying, well, 1 or 2 injuries and they're back to average. Well, okay. Most teams. Right?
Yep.
But Barkov and Bennett and Lundell and Reinhart and Verhaeghe and now Matthew Tkachuk and Brady Tkachuk and Aaron Ekblad and the list just goes on and on and on. And Seth Jones and wow, Mikkola had an unbelievable down the stretch year. See, this is what I love. Hello from Miami. We're going to see Chucky's parties in Miami. Yeah, you definitely are.
Yeah. Gonna have that Will Smith song on full blast down there.
Oh, they'll be at the Elbow Room. I saw that the Scottish soccer team fans were down at the Elbow Room after being in Boston for a week and drinking the whole city out of beer.
Seen it at Fenway Park too. And
legitimately, they drank the city out of beer.
Yep.
Where they were hauling beer in from other states just to try to keep up. In fact, I talked to a guy that was there, one of my former colleagues, and said, yeah, I was there. You know what they had? Bud Light. That was it.
Wow.
Yeah. Enor Tap, Montreal Canadiens fan, obviously, says you don't want a player with that kind of attitude on your team. And I do think Versage, Zach McGibbon with you, Brady Tkachuk traded to Florida for 4 picks, including 3 first-round picks, 2 this year, the number 9 and 25, and a 2029 first-round pick, a 2030 second-round pick. That it was we were saying it and we weren't in the room. It was body language. It was his play. It was things that he was doing off the ice, like doing this massive signing the day before a game with his brother, charging $100 an autograph in Florida the day before they played the Panthers, and the Panthers were out and Ottawa had to win. And he's out doing autograph signings in Florida. Mm-hmm. You just add up all of the different things that were going on and the silence from Brady Tkachuk. And then, him getting mad. Oh, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. I've just wanted to be an Ottawa Senator. Meanwhile, I've asked for a trade behind the scenes. I love, people from Carolina, and good on them. Good on them, Doomslayer Dave. You're the man. Regardless, the path's still going through Raleigh next year. Who's KK? Once KK gets dealt with, they got like 16, 17 million in space. What's his name? I should be better than this.
So should I. But I didn't think we were going to be talking about Carolina here.
No. He was hurt like all year. He didn't even have him this year. Kotkaniemi. Thank you. I was going to say the former Montreal guy. He said KK, and it threw me off a bit because I was, they'll buy him out for sure. Yeah. Well, Carolina's best team in the National Hockey League. They won the Stanley Cup. They went 16-3 in the playoffs. They dominated the regular season. They've been there for the last 8 years into like the Eastern Conference Final or wherever they've been. They've been overall in the last 7-8 years. They've been the best team in the National Hockey League, and they were the best team in the NHL this year. No matter what anyone else tells you, they were. So yes, the path goes through Carolina. Doomslayer Dave. For sure it does. But if you're Florida and you're used to winning and you got all these guys and you have Marchand and you have Matthew Tkachuk and you have Barkov coming off a year rehab for the injury and you have Aaron Ekblad, like those guys want to win now.
Yep.
And they've just added one of the best players in the NHL without taking a guy off of their roster. The Florida Panthers are better today.
Yep. And by the way, Lee, how did those Florida Panthers do against those Carolina Hurricanes teams of the past in those Eastern Conference Finals?
They beat them.
Beat them and swept them.
Yeah.
So, and now they're arguably a better team. So, like, I understand, but, what, you want Florida to just roll over and die? It's like, Carolina, they're just going to, let's just throw our hands up. No, this is a roster in Florida that's built to try and go and compete, and they're going to try and build on that.
I do want to talk about this. Inortap says this is quickly becoming a super league where players are allowed to do as they will. This will lead to the demise of the league. NBA and Major League Baseball have suffered similar fate, and people lose interest. Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't agree with the demise of the league. I think that's a little bit hyperbolic there, but I do think there are some concerns about these no movement clauses and what could be allowed. You see with the NBA with those supermax contracts and being able to determine where you go, and it's impacted. Now this year it's a little bit different because the Knicks went to the championship and there was some renewed interest because it's like the Knicks are all of a sudden NBA champions.
Yeah, and they had more than one or two guys that shot the basketball for them.
Exactly right.
Like they were actually a team as opposed to the big three or the big two or what basketball's become. And I get what Inortap is saying. I really do. But look at the teams around. Is Carolina like that? Not really. Like in the first 2 rounds, I was trying to find Sebastian Aho and Svechnikov and Seth Jarvis. And if they didn't have Stankoven on their team and they didn't have Taylor Hall on their team and they didn't have Jordan Stahl on their team, they're not winning the Stanley Cup. So they're not a super team. They're a really, really great team, but they're not like a top heavy. I was trying to find their superstars. I was trying to find them. And every time I turned around, Stankoven's putting the puck in the net. The Montreal Canadiens, are they a super team? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
But they're really good, and they're really young, and they're really fast, and they're really skilled. I don't think they're a super team. They were in the conference finals. The best player in the world wasn't anywhere near the finals this year in Connor McDavid. So I don't know if I agree with that because we're showing now that the Buffalo Sabres finally, look, they hadn't been to the playoffs in 15 years and, hadn't won a playoff round in over 20 years and whatever it was. But they don't have like, well, the Buffalo Sabres have the best 2 players in the NHL, so that's why they're there.
Right.
They don't have that. They were amazing this year. I don't feel like this is a super league, especially if you have a good staff and you have a good GM and you have good scouts. You can be, I do think Vegas trades for a bunch of guys to want to stay on top. I do think Florida wants to trade for a bunch of guys to stay on top. I think Tampa Bay has tried to trade for a bunch of guys to stay on top, and they've lost in the first round for 4 straight years.
Yep.
So I understand what Inortap is saying and the fear of that, because Brady Tkachuk wanted out of Ottawa and he picked his team to go play with his brother.
Yep.
Doesn't look great.
And not only that, like limited those teams to like 4 that we know of, at least from the reporting as of this recording. So
Roy, the Roy Nader, I love the Roy Nader, says, is Matthews next? So for me, yes. I'd be shocked if Austin Matthews decided that he wanted to be part of the solution in Toronto. I'd be shocked. But I don't know Austin Matthews. So,
well, it's weird over there in Toronto because they hired Jim Hiller, who's got a connection with Austin Matthews, and they made it, known that it's like, oh, brought him in. He's got a connection with these guys, so he knows how to work with them. Like, seems like Toronto's preparing to keep Matthews in. So,
but I don't know from the Austin Matthews side. All I do know, and this is what would concern me the most, no matter how the players felt about Austin Matthews, like as a teammate, when he went down, no one came to his aid. And all the top guys, Nylander and Riley, and all those guys were on the ice. So we're not going to be any good. You want me to be a part of the solution, and no one's coming to my aid when I get hurt? Yeah. Oh, okay. Julian says, apparently Minnesota did offer significant package to Ottawa. So he says, so likely Brady nicks that deal. Doomslayer Dave says, taxes are overblown because players still got to pay whatever it is for 42 away games. Yeah, but so does everyone else in the league.
Yeah.
Like, that's true. But with no state tax and the take home being more, it's probably, as Doomslayer Dave's saying, not as much as some people think it is, but it's still more.
Mm-hmm.
And Doomslayer Dave says, how did a top heavy team work out for Colorado? Let's get back to Zach, as the Senators get 4 draft picks, including 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick. 2 of those picks, the one in 29 and the one in 30, they're very, very hard to evaluate right now.
Yep.
So you go, okay, they're stocking the cupboard a little bit. Down the road, they're a little bit better. But right now, it's about getting the 9th and 25th overall pick in this year's draft, and they're going to pick 32nd as well at the bottom of the draft, getting their draft pick back from what happened with Pierre Dorion and Dadonov before. Do they just draft players? Is this the way they get better? What do they do with Drake Matherson? Are Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson ready to step up and it can be their team? I know a question in the chat was asked earlier about who the captain should be. Well, it's going to be one of those 2 guys.
Yeah.
And it's about who the locker room, I don't know. Like, it was always the weirdest thing in the world for me as a guy who covered the team that Erik Karlsson was the captain of the Ottawa Senators. It just was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the guy had some natural charisma, but he wasn't like a leader. If Erik Karlsson didn't want to practice, the team didn't practice. Erik Karlsson was not a guy going off and making sure that every member of that team was looked after all the time. There was little cliques on the team and guys didn't like each other. And like, sometimes that doesn't even matter. But like, when you talk about like guys that you're going to follow and they have to be good players, it's got to be the combination. So it's going to be one of Stützle or Jake Sanderson. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Would Tim Stützle be hurt if Jake Sanderson was the captain?
He doesn't strike me as that guy, but again, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, those are rhetorical questions because I don't know if Tim Stützle would be.
Yep.
Publicly or privately. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether Jake Sanderson would publicly or privately. I don't think either of those guys would really care. So to me, it's probably Tim Stützle as the captain because he's got that energy. He's certainly a fan favorite in this town. Russ, the boss, the hockey and insider. Oh, it's a great handle, Russ.
Wow.
Yeah. Says, great return for Ottawa, but should have got more, should have got at least a decent roster player.
Yeah.
So we were talking about that earlier, Russ. I think they should have got more, but I do commend the Ottawa Senators for not giving in to a roster player because you felt the need to bring some person back that inevitably was going to be compared to Brady Tkachuk because they got traded for him.
Yep.
Let's just say they brought Carter Verhaeghe. They were trying to get Verhaeghe and they couldn't get him. Now Carter Verhaeghe is the guy, like Carter Verhaeghe and 4 draft picks. So everyone's going to talk about Carter Verhaeghe being traded for Brady Tkachuk. Come on.
Right.
Like, is that fair to anybody? It's hindsight now to say because he is gone, but we have talked about on this show, we have talked about on this channel the possibility of Brady being gone and what it would look like. So this isn't just us saying this. I think from where the team wants to go, if there's full commitment from Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson, they're going to be in really, really good hands. And let's remember, okay? Let's remember that the Ottawa Senators had to play like 700 hockey or better to make the playoffs down the stretch. And they had to do it with guys that when asking you about how they were playing in Belleville, you're like, I don't know.
Well, just to give a sense, Belleville didn't make the playoffs this year. So like that's if you know anything about the AHL, the Calder Cup playoffs, it's you have to be at least top 5 in this case of the division that they're in of 7, and they came in 7th, I believe.
Right.
So if
that's how that's how they played. But then all the guys, and again, you hope that Cam Crotty can be good. You hope that Jordan Donovan can be good. You certainly have expectations for Carter Yakimchuk. But like all of those guys were up at the same time. And Ottawa was winning games. James Reimer was in goal.
Yep.
And it was like, it doesn't really matter who's in goal. They're so good right now. Doesn't matter. They're going to win anyway.
Yep.
It's mind-boggling. So I think this team's in less trouble than people think. But they really, really need to have a sense because this is their jobs. Like if you're Steve Staios, this is your job. Is Tim Stützle committed? Is Jake Sanderson committed? What about Shane Pinto? What about Ridley Gregg? Does Shabbat want to be here still? What are you doing with Drake Batherson? I still wouldn't be overpaying him to be on this team.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get him for a decent, I would, but he's not a perfect player. There's no perfect players in the NHL, but I'm not overpaying Drake Batherson because his point totals and sometimes his goal totals are a little bit more than the player that he actually is. I'm not overpaying him to do that. You know, our top says return definitely not enough for Ottawa.
Could have been more.
How will other players react? Do they look for an out as well? And that's what I want to know.
Yep. This could be like you have posed the question, and there's certainly the possibility that this could also just be an isolated thing with Brady Tkachuk, where he just had his mindset of leaving.
Yep.
Everybody else is committed around him, and now Brady's gone. This is an opportunity, and they look at it as an opportunity. That could absolutely be a thing. But I think that's something that we both want to hear from them. Say, I'm committed to this team. You'll get your media speak of like, oh, we enjoy Brady's time here, and hopefully all the best success for him in Florida, but we're focused on this hockey team, blah, blah, blah. But
does Brady get booed when he comes back here?
I think he will. I mean, I'm looking at some of the reaction. You always have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's immediate, right? People are this is just happening.
Especially with a trade like this, it's very immediate, and you can see that the emotions are high.
Yeah.
I think as more details come out, if it's becomes like, I think it's pretty clear to us that this was something that he was looking to move on from Ottawa, wanted out. If it becomes abundantly clear and he says it that I want to leave, I can't rule them out. Fans booing when he returns. Can't rule it out.
But okay, couple things here that need to be addressed that are facts. Brady Tkachuk wanted to leave.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted out. This was not the Ottawa Senators calling teams to go, hey, you interested in Brady? This is Brady Tkachuk going to them and saying, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore.
And dictating where he wanted to go.
Right. The last thing that he said, he was perturbed. And look, he didn't have a lot of sleep. He had just had a baby. They were just eliminated from the playoffs. He was late coming back to garbage bag day here. But he basically said, I'm tired of answering the question. Right? I'm tired of answering the question of, do I want to be an Ottawa Senator? It's all I've ever said. Meanwhile, he's asked out. I wouldn't be happy if I were a Senators fan when he came back. But I don't know how people are going to react.
I think if you were to ask me today, I do think there is going to be a strong reaction.
Yeah, but if I ask you tomorrow, then what?
It's fair enough. And look, dude, you'd imagine that the Sens will do some sort of a tribute video as well for him for his time.
Of course they will.
Yeah. That will be interesting too.
And they should. I mean, he was their captain, and he did do some good things here in the city, and there are more Tkachuk jerseys. I think the only other one would be Stützle. Yep. But there's a ton of Tkachuk jerseys. There's a full sign. They're ripping it down right now. The one right at the Queensway in Carling that says, "Let's Tkachuk and go." Rest of us says, I wonder the direction Ottawa's heading. If they want to compete and go for it, make trades and signings, or rebuild, kind of start it over. Really something to think about. And that's what we're trying to get to the answer here, Russ. Yeah. Ryan says, depends on what they get back with those picks will determine the reaction. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Real PJ Moore says, I think Brady's desire grew when he played on the U.S. Olympic team. That's really what made him want to go to Florida. P.S. Brady, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
We'll see. There you go. There's at least one reaction right now.
Crit says U.S. Olympic team players really like partying in Miami. I wouldn't be surprised. Matthews and Hellebuck want to go there too. Well, they'd have to get rid of Bobrovsky's, but I think Hellebuck's done in Winnipeg for sure. So
yeah.
Where he's going to go. And here's the opposite reaction. Can't believe they asked for Lindell. They said no and still made the trade. Well, what are you going to do? If Brady wants out and you're turning Florida away as a trade partner, he wants to go there too. You're hoping, I would hope that was the best offer on the table from those teams. Somebody's going to have it at some point, but I don't have the numbers, but I was telling people as much as I could tell them, and I was telling you, I was saying it on this show, and I was telling everybody that I could possibly find. When Brady Tkachuk was hurt and he was about to come back, of course you bring him back, but watch the way the team plays when he comes back, because right now, after a really bad start, they are dialed in. They are absolutely dialed in. They're back checking. They're doing everything Travis Green wants them to do. As soon as Brady Tkachuk came back, what happened, Zach?
You tell me.
They didn't do anything like they did it. And it took them a while to get back to that because Tkachuk came back and he wasn't really back checking. There was a couple of times that I was absolutely embarrassed to see what Brady Tkachuk did on a couple of plays.
Mm-hmm.
I remember bringing this up. It was just embarrassing. The lack of effort. Oh, finally. This is as much as I'm ever going to get from the Marlboro man. He says, Leo, give it to you. Leo, give it to you. You said he was gone. Yeah, I did. I told you that a long time ago.
This is why, if you're watching this right now, you got to subscribe to This Is OSN right here on the YouTube channel.
That's right. Because we've been saying this for a long time. People don't want to listen to me, and it's fine. They haven't listened to me for 20 years. Why would they listen to me now, Zach?
Well, they shouldn't listen to you now. Get the likes in, get the subscriptions to the YouTube channel in.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone being here. Like Maxime says, as a Habs fan, I don't really like Ottawa, but I really feel for you. That sucks hard. Yeah, look, the outside perspective, if you're listening in and you are not in Ottawa right now, how does it look? Because to me, it looks like Linus Ullmark went on leave, and then there were all these rumors, and then the Ottawa Senators, whether they were backing their player, I think both happened. I think they were vehemently backing their player, but they also fanned the flames and made it a league-wide issue where people are like, what are they doing? What is going on in Ottawa? Like, just random player that plays for the Columbus Blue Jackets is looking and going, what is going on in Ottawa? And now the captain wants out. And now the captain's been traded. That's what's happened this year for this team. So that is the outside look at it right now about Ottawa, about players wanting to come here. I don't know. I think the players that are here and are playing for Travis Green, and we saw that they didn't have the best roster when everyone was getting hurt. Like Jake Sanderson was out of the lineup. Thomas Chabot was out of the lineup. Yeah, not to worry. We got, I don't know, like Joe and Tim and Steve back there. And yeah, we'll just bring them up and we'll still win games. Who we got to play in goal? No one in the league. James Reimer. He's eating some Doritos on the couch. Let's get James in. They still won games. I think if you're like a one of those players that like all you care about, you don't care about sort of the periphery stuff. You care about what was the team on the ice and how did they play. I think the Ottawa Senators were a very, very, very difficult team to play against and go around the National Hockey League and ask a whole bunch of teams. That's what I think, Zach. And because of that, I think they're going to get some, not some love, but I think other teams are going to go and look. Like, I don't care what else is going on. I care that this team was really good on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really good on the ice.
Yep. Like you mentioned, like players would come in and we would come on to these shows. And again, I would have to pull out my Belleville Sens roster and be like, okay, well, I'll tell you how Cam Crotty played this year. I'll tell you about how Tkachuk was looking in the AHL. Like, yeah. I would have to go through and be like, and it was funny. It would just be like, what about this player, Zach? I'm like, oh no, this player, he's not between the ECHL. Like he's not going to get called up. And they still won games. There was a point when we collectively, like you, Lee Versage, Tanner Reil, who also does Sens coverage. He's mainly does Sens coverage. Myself, everybody that comes on to these shows. There was a point during the season where it's like, this season it seems lost right now. It just seems like the Sens haven't gotten it figured out and just got to move on for the season. Yeah. What they do, they rallied together. They were able to win. And it was not because when you watch those games, like you didn't come away from a lot of those games thinking, oh, Brady Tkachuk won them that hockey game.
No,
maybe the only game I could think of was that Islanders game when he had to get the pep talk from Coach Green.
Yeah, and
Coach Travis Green.
And then one goes in off of his like leg or something in front, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Brady Tkachuk! What a game! He's just awesome."
Yep.
He bowled the goalie over, and they still counted the goal. And again, this is not a crap on Brady Tkachuk show either, because now he's out of town and it's easy to do. Because he's a good player. But he was supposed to be their best player. He was supposed to be beast mode in the playoffs. He was supposed to be the guy leading them down the stretch. And follow me, boys. I'll take care of things. Just be with me. That's what he was supposed to be, and he wasn't. Jason says, does that take the stress of playoff expectations for next year? Not at all.
No.
Not yet, depending on what they do with it. Yep. Again, this team won games without Brady Tkachuk. They won games without most of their defense core and literally an NHL goalie. And maybe it actually takes some stress out of the room. I don't know. As I'm watching it this year, I'm watching it going, I just don't see Brady being the same. Like, he doesn't look the same. He's not playing the same. He's not doing the things. He's lazy on the ice. He's not doing the things necessary to like lead the team, but they were still winning. And maybe he took up some oxygen in that room. Maybe the players knew, listening to the podcast, that he was talking about Ottawa and his dad's talking about the goalie. And like, maybe the rest of the players in the back of their mind are like, kind of glad he's gone. I don't disagree, Jason, that it's possible that it might be addition by subtraction. I don't disagree with that, because I think it was quite clear through the last 2 or 3 months that he was not fully committed. Tap saying David Pagnotta claiming Ottawa is making a big push for Jason Robertson. If a trade is not made by July 1st, expect an offer sheet. Well, yeah, I like David Pagnotta. He's hit or miss.
It has been the rumblings for a while.
Yeah. We've heard Jason Robertson's name for a while.
Yeah, and they certainly could use some of his scoring touch as a winger. But
since Ottawa hasn't said boo yet, says Marlboro Man, I think Stale's going to flip some capital for an incoming player. Yeah, I don't think he's just going to sit tight and go, hey, we got the 9th and 25th pick. It's awesome. We're just going to pick the guys, and we're not going to add to the team at all. And here we go. We're going to be a lot better. Because, again, they got swept in the playoffs with Brady Tkachuk in the lineup.
Right.
You have to try to get better. You still got swept in the first round of the playoffs, and you finished 8th. This is not a juggernaut.
No.
I think they played really well down the stretch as a team. And I never thought they were going to get into the playoffs in January and February, and lo and behold, they did. Good for them. Yep. Amazing, amazing run. But this was not, and don't let this confuse you for people who are listening. This was not, oh my God, when they finally got healthy, and it was Brady Tkachuk, and it was Tim Stützle, and it was Jake Sanderson, and like the 3 of those guys just led Ottawa to the playoffs. That's not what happened. They got to the playoffs because a bunch of guys bought into the way Travis Green wanted them to play, and they literally shut teams down where teams were going, 9, 10, 14 minutes in the middle of games without a shot. And very regularly, teams at the end of the day would not have 20 shots on goal. Maybe because Ottawa knew, we got James Reimer in that for some of it. And quite honestly, Linus Ullmark wasn't great.
Yeah.
So, they were getting historically bad goaltending at the beginning of the year. They still made the playoffs. This team, inside the room with Travis Green, the concepts that they were adhering to, this is a really, really good hockey team at the end of the year. Now, they ended up 8th because they started really, really poorly, and they went up against the best team in the National Hockey League, and they got swept. But so did Philadelphia. The Hurricanes lost 3 games in the playoffs out of 19.
Yep.
Right? And one of the games that they lost was this weird bounce off the backboards in overtime against Vegas, right? Where they stormed back and, obviously could have won that game. They're the best team in the NHL. So how do you How do you compare to that? I think Ottawa's playing really, really good hockey. And I don't think Brady Tkachuk was the main reason why. I think that's fair to say. I really do.
I think that's totally fair to say. Just, again, from our coverage of the games this season all the way into the playoffs and just following the game by game, very rarely did we come on here and say Brady Tkachuk first star of the game for the Sens. So
the TCB lifestyle says we can find another Tkachuk brother to play in Florida. We could see the next generation of the Hanson brothers from Slapshot. How about those Olympic team meetings that led to leaving Canada? Yeah, I mean, maybe it's as simple as Brady Tkachuk with his wife from the States and his brother from the States and his dad from the States and his kids born in the States wanted to play in the States.
Could be as simple as that.
Right? What if he just, I mean, if you had asked anybody, is Brady Tkachuk close to his family? You'd be like, oh, yeah, they're,
of course.
He does a podcast with the brother. He's with dads all the time. Like, they're kind of one of the, like, the first family of the NHL now, right? They're tight.
Yep.
But all of them are playing down in the U.S. and having fun. And Matt's leaving Calgary to go to win Stanley Cups in Florida. And Keith's never been shy in front of a camera. And Brady's wife was her family and was born in New Jersey, lives in New Jersey. Like, is it possible that it's okay for somebody to want to go home? And look, I'm not bailing out Brady Tkachuk for the way that he played, and his attitude after he came back from the Olympics wasn't nearly what the captain of the Ottawa Senators should be. I'm not bailing him out for that. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, is it possible that somebody would just wanted to go home and play in their own country? And would we really fault them for that? Like, if somebody was over right now in the KHL and playing there and like was the captain and all this stuff, and they're like, I want to go home. Would we sit here as Canadians and go, can't believe that? Like, I just can't believe that would happen. I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Hi, Steve McKenzie. Hello. How's it going? How are you? Good.
Does Steve know? Does Steve know the news?
Yeah, Steve knows. Yeah, something happened. That's great. We got hundreds of people.
Yeah,
right now, which is awesome.
No, I was tuning in. It's like a lot of people tuning in, so appreciate everybody that decided to come and join us to talk about this news. And again, if you're new, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel.
This is OSN. Also, this is OSN.com.
At least show the mascot, though. Show the mascot. Okay? Can't leave me here forever. Michael says, good riddance. Good riddance. Crit says he joined the Yotes before Matthews' debut. What's he talking about? Oh, Chaika.
Yeah.
He talked about, people get off on what Matthews is going to do, because that's the question, right? Like, we talk about what's Quinn Hughes going to do.
Yep.
He's going to go play with his brothers. This is the American thing.
Yep. Where's Connor Hellebuck going to go?
Connor Hellebuck. Another good example.
Yep.
Good things about Toronto, Canada. Instead of being like Tkachuk, I give props. He says he's a Leaf fan, but gives props to Matthews and Nyes. Every American, all they want to do is leave Canada and go play in the States. Matthews and Nyes said they're committed to the team. Yeah, we'll see about that.
We'll see about Matthews, and we've heard the Nyes talk about the proposed trade to Montreal, but
you need to say the right things until, like, Brady Tkachuk tried to say all the right things.
Yep.
Right? Until this happened. But he was clearly orchestrating all of this behind the scenes.
So I've just got the Sens officially confirmed the trade. And so that 2029 first round pick is conditional, according to the press release that just got sent out.
Okay. Conditional on.
I am trying to find the condition here.
Hey, there you go, Zach. The fact checker's back, baby.
And a big spot here, too. They don't mention it in the release here. Just saying that the 2029 first round pick is conditional. So, but everything else is pretty much the same as we've been reporting on here.
Probably conditional on, I would guess, where Florida is going to finish.
There is a quote here from Steve Staios in this release, if you want me to read it.
I do.
Quote, "This was not a decision we took lightly, but ultimately we did what we felt was best for the long-term future of our hockey club. We now possess cap space and draft capital and will be actively working to improve our roster." End quote.
And as he put it, Julian has been good enough to put it up again. So this is exactly what he said, what you just read.
There you go.
And he really addresses what we've been talking about for the last hour and a half. Didn't take it lightly, meaning they didn't want to. And now they have cap space and draft capital. Zach, fact checker McGibbon. That's right. So what they do with it, I mean, that's the right thing to say. I don't think there's anything kind of newsworthy there. Do you?
Not too crazy. Not too crazy. I mean, it's kind of what I expected. It's what we've been saying. So apparently, it looks like the conditional aspect is that Florida's 2029 first round selection is top 10 protected.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
because Florida is going to be bad at some point. And all the people listening in Miami at the elbow room right now, dancing with the Scots, knowing you got Brady Tkachuk. Good for you. You're living your best life. It's amazing. But it's at some point they're going to be bad because they're going for it now. So you knew that was probably going to be the case. So Ottawa has picks 9, 25, and 32 as we sit 5 days away from the NHL draft. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to really dig into those scouting reports now and see what will come out now that if they do decide to go with their picks, it wouldn't shock me if they are going to utilize that for a trade down the line. But if they do end up using the 9th and the 25th, we'll be locked in on that.
Michael says, not a Sens fan, but for an outside perspective, always seemed like the Sens had some great talent, but not enough true game breakers. Their ceiling wasn't super high. Hope this works better long term. Yeah, I think that's fair. Mm-hmm. Brady Tkachuk's not a game breaker.
No.
Tim Stützle is. He didn't do it in the playoffs. He was dynamic. He had a lot of chances, but he didn't do it. And they don't have a lot of game breakers. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that they're where they got to, considering they had historically bad goaltending in the first 2 months of the season. I can't believe they got to the playoffs, and they did it with an incredible coming together of the team concepts under Travis Green. Because when Jake Sanderson got hurt, even they were making a push, and Jake Sanderson got hurt for a few weeks, and you're like with his shoulder, I'm like, that's it. That's it. They are done. Nope. No. The Ullmark situation was brutal, but as a Leafs fan, I'm used to the Senators' turmoil, like the candid camera of the Sens players in the cab talking crap about the team. Yeah. Look, there's been some stories here in Ottawa for sure, but were they wrong in what they were saying in the cab? It's just that they got caught saying it in the cab.
Yeah.
But were they wrong?
It's one of those, we as onlookers of the Sens and analyzers of the Sens, we could say it, but the players know it, and it's like, oh, that's bad for the team at that time.
What do you think about this one? Americans can't captain in Canadian markets. Simple. Coming from a Leafs fan. Is that Americans as a whole, or is that just the players specifically? Like Austin Matthews, no offense. Austin Matthews should never be the captain.
Yeah.
Like he should never be, like he's not a leader.
No.
Great player, but he's not a leader. I mean, there's been some other good American players, right? Like, I don't know. The way the world's going, I think it's different now than it used to be 10 years ago and 20 years ago with how we feel politically. And
yep. I think it's not I think it's only become more increasingly obvious and increasingly at the forefront because of the Americans winning the gold medal at the Olympics. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, you saw how they were treated by the American media when they won the gold medal. And I think they kind of look at that and said, oh, well, let's it's a better feeling to be able to win for your home country. Like, I don't think it's that crazy. I don't think it's all Americans. I'm sure there are some American players you can make a captain, and they'd be just fine. But it's just a matter of the timing of it being the Olympics and the success the Americans had in that gold medal game. So
it's incredible to me what one goal did.
Yep. Do you think this is a talking point if Canada scores in the gold medal?
I don't think
if the Americans came away with silver.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of what happened in the couple of months after that would have happened. And I think it's made it a lot different. When it comes to Brady Tkachuk in particular, I don't know. I know people don't want to hear this, but I think it's possible that Brady Tkachuk just wanted to go and play in the States and saw what his brother was doing in Florida and doesn't love Canada like he loves his home and wants to just go home. And are we really, really, really going to fault someone for that?
It's not the first time it's happened.
No.
And it's not been exclusively Americans. You mentioned the KHL earlier.
Yeah, like we just look at things really differently when all of a sudden you put it in that perspective. Yep. Like a Canadian that's over captaining a Russian team and playing professional in Russia and got everything going and they're the best and he just wants to go home. We wouldn't be faulting that guy. Nope. So let's not look at it like it's all that much different. I think it's fair to say like we are at a point right now that there is as big of a separation between the United States and Canada as there's been in a very long time. Yep. So
it puts a much bigger magnifying glass on it. That's why.
Yeah.
So trust me, I know as my real day-to-day job, I am well aware of that fact. So
what should they do with this? That's the next question.
Mm-hmm.
What should they do with this? Are they going to trade one of those picks? Are they just going to trade other guys on their team and like revamp their team? I don't know. Maybe you trade one of the picks. What if you traded Drake Batherson and you threw in a first round pick and what you could get for that? Because Drake Batherson's got another year, right?
Yep.
A 4.9. Okay. So I'll give you Drake Batherson, a pretty good player. Like he's a good player. At 4.9, I would be keeping Drake Batherson all day, every day. In fact, I'd give him a little bit of a raise. I'm just not going up to like $8 and $9 million for that guy.
If even with the potential cap increase?
Yeah, even with the potential cap increase. I'm not. He doesn't do enough when he's not scoring. He doesn't do enough on the ice. But what if you threw Drake Batherson and a first round pick in? And what could you get for that? Drake Batherson, the 25th overall pick, and you get a really good player and you get to pick 9th.
That will be the question, though, is that will they be able to even pack as a 25th, or is a team going to say, well, we want the 9th overall selection here? You have the 9th overall selection. We would like that, please.
Okay, but
would you be okay with that?
Would I be okay? Well,
getting rid of that top 10 pick. That's I think it's easy to say, it's 25th pick. You got two other first round picks.
But then it's easy for you to ask me that without telling me the player that's coming in return.
It's true. That's also fair.
So, like, if it's Jason Robertson, yeah, 100% I'm doing that.
Mhm.
But I don't know if it's another player that I'm not like super keen on. Remember, the cupboards are bare.
Yep. Like, and that goes back to the original question of, has this team really taken a massive step back, like you see some saying with Brady Tkachuk going away? Or is this an opportunity like, okay, you're still losing a solid player. Like, clearly a lot of teams, what they're willing to give up for a guy like Brady Tkachuk, you see it, how other teams view him. So is this an opportunity? It's like, okay, we take a little bit of a step back. We'll go and we've got some draft capital to work with, but we know the cupboard's bare. So let's take this opportunity to fill it up while we have this opportunity. It's a boring thing, but it's also something you have to look at.
Yeah, and usually the answer is in the middle. I can tell you that in knowing, and I wanted to get to Darth Vader's here. Brady was miffed when he came back with gold to the Olympics, not given any recognition, and there were boos. His body language shifted really quick. I don't know about the recognition about winning the gold medal because he knew Canadians would be disappointed. I do think it got awkward with the comments about the women's team and being asked about it. I don't think the players were. It was a really awkward situation because I don't know if you like completely fault the players because they didn't make the comment and they're celebrating and it's like, whatever that guy's saying, whatever, haha, like I want to celebrate. We just won the gold medal. But at the same time, did they stick up for the women's team? No. And should they have been asked about it? Yes. And I didn't think he had a great answer.
Yet somehow that was the reporter's fault, as I read with some of the comments.
Yeah, I know.
I'm trying to figure that one out.
Some people weren't happy. Like it was politically driven and like, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was the right question to be asked.
It's a whole other thing.
And whether he was happy about that or not, it didn't look like he was thrilled about it.
Yep.
Whether he should have been or not is not the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jason says trade for Mason McTavish. The guy that couldn't make the lineup. Senators will do fine. Remember when Islanders lost Tavares? Sens still have Stützle and Sanderson. Again, this team played really well with Brady Tkachuk in the lineup, and this team was one of the best teams in the NHL when they had like 9 guys of their main guys hurt. It was like we're doing these shows like, how are they winning? It's insane how they're winning.
Yeah.
When a star player secretly asks for a trade and you get 3 first and a second, that's a win. Okay, I guess.
Could it also be it's a win, but you still wanted more? Is that possible?
Yeah, but again, people get really hung up on this first round, second round stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, the line is not at 32 where the drop off is. And I really want to emphasize this point. If you think that if we're trading for a first round pick and that pick's 31st overall, well, we only got a second round pick back and it's 33. That divide is not there in the NHL. It's not there. The divide is about halfway through the first round. And if you get a good player in the 20s, good for you. Great scouting, amazing. And there are some good players.
Absolutely.
But this is not, oh, we got a first round pick. That's amazing. Where is it? 25th. Well, that's not 9th. That's not 5th.
Yeah. And one of those first rounders is as a top 10 protected 3 years from now.
Right. I wish there was a different designation for, like, I don't know, there's the first round pick and then there's like the 1B round. And then there's the 2 round.
Yep.
Because everyone thinks when you trade for a draft pick and you get a first round pick back, it's like you're picking third. Like you're not. And the drop off is just hilarious to me that you get a 31st overall pick and the kid goes, it's a first round pick in the NHL. And then, you get the 33rd overall pick and he's like, it's a second round pick. And I was just way better than you. And it's about the fit and all this stuff.
Right.
Like somehow there's people think that there's this huge divide. As soon as they get to the 32nd pick and the first round's over, nobody's any good anymore. It's not there, folks. It's not there. Hopefully this blockbuster opens the floodgates for more trades this week leading up to the draft. I actually wonder if this trade set the market for Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
I really do. And Austin's sitting back there and just kind of saying the right things. And like Brady said the right things, right? He's just saying the right things. I'd be shocked if Matthews was like, I'm just going to go through this rebuild. And because the Leafs aren't going to be very good. They're not going to be, like, even if they're decent, they're not going to be Stanley Cup contenders.
No.
So, like, what's he doing there? And he's gone in 2 years anyway. You think he's re-signing in Toronto?
I don't see it.
I don't see it either.
Not at this stage. Toronto, the Leafs seem to be making moves to try to appease to him a little bit, but I still don't see him sticking around.
Darth Vader says, Habs got Hudson at 62 after Slavkovsky won. It's up to Ottawa to do their homework. For sure. Like, that's what the draft is all about. People miss on guys and then they hit later in the rounds. Like, yeah, there's always good players later, for sure. And that's why you have to build up as many as you possibly can. That's the value of them, is that you're not going to hit on all of them, but even if you hit on a couple, like we could go through the list of Nikita Kucherov, second round pick, and pretty good second round pick. And there's lots of guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
That are like stars in the National Hockey League that were not first round picks. How about this compliment? You guys are good. Better than some of the sick with Tony. Well, why are you setting the bar like that? You don't have to set the bar like that. You guys can just say you guys are good. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Darth says it was awkward. Remember how Hughes had his moment and called out Tage from Buffalo. It's Americana. Look, there's definitely something to the Canadian US thing. It's not like it was before. And if they all want to go play with each other, then they can all go play with each other.
Yep.
What's that? You come back? You come back? We'll be waiting for you, Steve McKenzie.
2 run-ins in 1.
Well, you had Lewis here. And as much
yes. I saw
I
Lewis.
kind of
well, look, once you get the dog in, the people want the dog.
Well, that's what I mean. I kind of gave him the stink. I'm like, the dog's not going to work. I need all the attention right now.
Yes, especially at a moment like this.
That's what I mean. Like this is
because then people will start going to the chat and start clamoring for the dog, and it's like, we lost him.
Like
we've lost him.
These guys were good, but now the dog's great.
Yes.
I don't need that.
And look, fair play. Like I would also be going to the chat, and be like, the dog. I need to see more of the dog. But time and a place here.
Yeah. and love Lewis, but Lewis gets a little antsy sometimes.
Yeah.
And he's a little tough to control, but so did this open up some breathing room within the dressing room? That's another question that I have. Because Tim Stützle was never going to be Tim Stutzle's team when Brady Tkachuk was here.
No.
Could be now, though. Is Tim Stützle ready to be like not just a really, really good player, but like the face of the franchise guy? Maybe. I kind of feel like he is, Zach.
Yep.
And look, Jake Sanderson's kind of the calm, cool, collected guy. Never really all that emotional.
There was only the one time.
Yeah, I had the one time, and he's apologizing afterwards.
Yeah,
like
because the guy wants to win.
Yeah, like And again, what Jake Sanderson, one time he got out of line and basically said, like, we need to save. Well, he's right. They need to save. Like, James Reimer's in goal and they're playing unbelievable hockey and giving up 12 shots and losing a couple of games. And it's like, this can't happen.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. But the frustration was not just about James Reimer. It was about like all of the things that were happening to the team. Sherry says Sanderson or Shabby. So
I saw Shabbat's name pop up a couple of times.
I don't think so. Look, while I don't think Thomas Chabot's going to be the captain, what he did in the playoffs and coming back from injury and a broken arm after 2 weeks and gutting it out to help this team into the playoffs, that goes a long way with the players that you are playing with.
Yep.
The guy had like literally pins and plates put in his arm, and 2 weeks later he's back out on the ice. Talked to a couple of people in the industry, and they're like, I wouldn't have been putting him out on the ice. But anyway, he got out the ice, and he was real good. Julian says it's hard to get an honest answer from players since they'll all give the PR answer. Of course, that's why we have to do it here, Julian. That's what we do.
It's what we do.
Yeah, you're never going to get an answer though. He's right. So it's probably a little bit of, it's sad to see Brady go because of like the type of character that he is. But at the same time, there are kind of new beginnings and new openings for guys. And I think it was never going to be anybody else's team if Brady was here. Now that Brady is not here, it opens up to other possibilities and other leadership roles that I think Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson are made for. I think Chabot's always going to be like, this isn't about the letters on the sweater necessarily. I know it's like, oh, who's going to be the next captain?
Right.
It's more about who's going to be the true leaders of the team. And I think you don't want to overstep when Brady's there. He takes up some oxygen in the room. And I that's not a negative thing. It's just his personality takes up some oxygen for sure. I mean, if you had the PR answer, is Zach will tell you that I'm a great leader. And behind
leader of men, Lee Versage.
And yeah, and behind, you can't spell leader without Lee, right? So, but behind the scenes, Zach will say like he takes up some oxygen in the room.
Yeah, the group chats just go crazy. It's like, can you believe what Lever said?
Yeah,
this
and
time?
then as soon as Lee's gone from OSN, and people are just tuning in, and they're like, "What? Lee can't leave OSN. we're just finding out about OSN.
What's going on?
Look at all the people that are here. We're just finding out about OSN. But if Lee's gone, well, maybe Zach and maybe Tanner, maybe Steve, and maybe like all these guys, like, my time. It's my time.
Yeah. Traded for future journalism students, a 2028 journalism graduate, 2029.
Sherry says, as a Sens fan, this one hurt. Disappointed. Mad. Time to move on and make this team a contender. Sherry, I do not blame you. Okay. This, from a fan's perspective, all you've ever wanted is people to come here and want to be here and play hard and have a team that can be a contender. That's all you've ever wanted. And now everyone wants out. But we're not moving people out, Zach. Looks like there's a run-in. We're bringing people in.
Oh, here we go. There you go, Tanner.
Tanner
How's it going, guys?
is with us.
So what do you want to talk about?
Anything big?
Tanner doing a lot of the pre and post game coverage with the Ottawa Senators here on OSN. Tanner Reil.
Yeah.
Tanner, your first thought when you heard the news that Brady Tkachuk was traded to the Florida Panthers?
Shocked, very surprised. sorry everyone that I couldn't be here a little sooner. I had to deal with something at the hospital, but nothing serious. Everyone's okay.
It's good.
Glad I can now come and join the show. Yeah, just completely shocked. I think because we kind of had no idea this was coming. There was no trade request. It's not like the Dylan Larkin situation. There's been a lot of buzz around Connor Hellebuck of late. Look at Versage making himself big here.
Just waiting for
Messing around with the cameras.
I'm just
there we go.
Fun. Just seeing what's working here. Maybe that
That
works
could work.
a little bit better.
I'm a little zoomed in.
I'm quite close.
I think I like this.
Trying to make the video good, okay?
But yeah, like I was sitting there, so just in the waiting room refreshing, and I saw Pierre LeBrun's post, and I had to double check and make sure it wasn't one of those fake accounts, because that's been happening a lot lately. Just seeing the chat, congrats on becoming a dad. It was absolutely not that I was at the hospital for. That's
news for us.
I appreciate it, but it is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
I like this view the best.
But yeah, I saw LeBron's post, and then not long after it was Elliot Friedman's, and I was like, wow, I'm very shocked. But I think also to wind back to this morning, the Panthers made another move, which was the Mackie Samoskevich trade to the Seattle Kraken. And I'll say when that went down, I kind of got the sense, hey, they're probably up to something.
Yeah.
And my immediate thought was probably Hellebuck. I thought maybe Larkin, because it's kind of been public that that's one of the teams that are on his trade list. I probably should have thought about Brady. And looking back on it, just very shocked that it did happen today. That said, the return, I don't hate it, but obviously this team is going to have to flip one or multiple of those assets if they want to make the playoffs next year, because they already needed a top 6 forward. Now you need 2, and you've lost your captain. You've lost the guy that this team is built around, and they're still young enough, I think, with Sanderson and Stützle, which I'm sure you guys have talked about for the last couple hours, but they're still young enough where I don't think it's a case that they need to blow the entire thing up, but it certainly changes the entire identity around this team. And I think we all knew this was coming sooner or later, probably next summer, but yeah, just very shocked that it went down today.
5 days before the draft is better than after the draft, I would say, depending on what some of the other returns. So let's talk about, look, the 9th, the 25th overall pick coming to Ottawa. You got a pick in 2029, top 10 protected, first round, 2030. Like we were talking about earlier, those picks are literally 14 and 15 years old. So right now, that's very, very difficult to get your head around that's going to be an impact player. So you kind of got to deal with the now and what they're going to do with the 9th and 25th and 32nd pick, because they still have the 32nd pick as well. They can't trade that pick, though, as pointed out earlier, just because it was given back to them by the NHL. They're not allowed to move that one. So to where they're going to go with this, can they just make another trade to bring somebody else in and pick all of the guys at 9 and 25 and 32 coming up Friday and Saturday?
I would say probably not, because again, like a guy that you're picking in the first round this year probably isn't going to be on the team for another 2 to 3 years. I would be probably hesitant to move the 9th overall pick, because the success rate on top 10 picks is pretty high, and this team still lacks a legit A prospect. I'm sorry, Carter Yakimchuk and Logan Hensler, great players, but they're not of that high of a caliber. So if you can, I haven't dug into this draft class. Obviously, I thought we'd be sitting here talking about pick 32 on Friday and going pretty deep down. I wasn't expecting this. So I'm going to spend a little time plugged in before Friday, when I'm sure we're going to do some draft coverage. Exactly. But I think I'd be a little bit hesitant to just straight up trade that 9th overall pick, because if you could get a legit prospect there, I wouldn't be against it. And again, it depends. Like, if I wouldn't be trading all those pieces if you're not getting a legit player back. And I know there's a lot of rumors swirling right now. Steos might be looking at a guy like Jason Robertson. You know, that's a guy I would consider it, but if you're going much lower of a tier of player than that, I don't think it's worth moving a top 10 draft pick, because this team just hasn't had those. When you look at the ones that They whiffed on Tyler Boucher. They lost one in the DeBrincat trade, the Chikrin trade.
Yep.
And just the prospect pool is so bare.
Would you consider moving up in the draft, Zach? 9 and 25 to move up.
Get into the top 5 position?
To get into a guy that you really think could have an impact sooner rather than later.
That would be the key for me, is if there's truly somebody that you think is out there in that top 5 that you feel could come onto this team and contribute right away, maybe. But I just on the initial look through, because like Tanner, I was getting prepared to come on here and talk about can they find a steal at 32, and because they can't move this pick, and so what are they going to do at that spot? But if there's an impact player they feel now, I don't think there is, if they're going to try, because I don't think anybody in that top 3 is going to trade out of that spot, and I don't see anybody in that top 5 that will.
I mentioned Tanner a little bit earlier. What if you traded the 25th pick and Drake Batherson? And what could you bring in at that point?
I mean, you're still talking about, like, before this trade even happened, they were probably 1 or 2 top 6 forwards away. Now you're talking about being 2 or 3 away, unless Batherson going out is bringing in again a guy like, just to go back to Jason Robertson.
It would be. Like, let's say, and I don't know that that's like everything that you would have to. What if you did a first round pick and Drake Batherson for a guy like Jason Robertson, and you might have to add something else in, but yeah, it would be like a significant guy coming back.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed.
Panthers. Yeah, I think there's lots of options here as to, and look, the cap space, because people are asking, what about G? And that's Claude Giroux for people. What are they doing with him? Is he deciding that he wants to come back now? The real question, I'm anxious to ask you, you haven't been a part of the coverage so far, but I'm anxious to ask you, do you actually think that this clears some oxygen in the room for other guys to step up? And look, publicly, they're always going to say that Brady Tkachuk is a guy that is so valuable, and you've lost a great player and you haven't brought anybody else in. But it does seem to me like there's some openings that this could be Tim Stutzle's and Jake Sanderson's team, and it was never going to be their team if Brady Tkachuk was still here.
I mean, I think we already saw that a lot this season. I think you and I spent a lot of time on post-game shows talking about where was Brady Tkachuk during this game. I think just ever since the Olympics, it did feel a bit like he was checked out. And, there's certainly pressure to replace a guy like Brady Tkachuk, but Brady Tkachuk didn't play like Brady Tkachuk down the stretch last year, and this team still made the playoffs.
Yeah. With a bunch of injuries.
Yeah, a decimated blue line where Jordan Spence is playing 30 minutes a night. Yeah. And Brady Tkachuk was basically a non-factor, and they still got in.
Yeah. We were talking about, Tanner, before you came on, of just like how I would have to like go through the Belleville Sens roster and just be like, okay, so this player might be able to come up, like this player might be able to fill in. Like it was dire times. So again, it's not something where I am concerned about this team making a major step back or anything like that.
This team played really well when Brady Tkachuk wasn't in the lineup at the beginning of the year. And I was telling everybody I could possibly tell, you watch how this team plays when he gets back. Do they start cheating because Brady cheats? The answer was yes for a few weeks. Remy says, Sen's got a lot back for him. Sucks now, but it'll pay off for you guys later. And I think that's the Florida mentality that the Panthers are going for it now. They didn't lose anybody off their roster, and they added like an all-star player. And they already have a bunch of all-star players.
I was just looking at their forward core earlier today. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, it's the best in the NHL.
And like everyone says, well, they'll get hurt. No, they got hurt this year. And every team has injuries. You can't say that guys are just going to get hurt.
Like their top 9 is Verhaeghe, Barkov, Reinhart, Tkachuk, Bennett, Tkachuk, which, oh my God, what a line.
Yeah.
Stop.
And then
Stop.
Luosterainen, Lundell, Marchand. You got Evan Rodriguez on their 4th line, who I'm not plugged into the Panthers per se, but I'd be shocked if he's probably not on his way out now after making this move.
Right.
Their defense might need a little bit of help lower down, but especially in net, they don't have a single goalie signed going into next season. So maybe that's a guy like Evan Rodriguez getting moved out. But when you look at that top 9, I mean, I don't think there's another team that's close in the league.
Yeah, I mean, Carolina's depth showed obviously that they were the best team in the NHL. And as pointed out earlier in the show, like there are people defending that, saying you got to go through Carolina. I don't disagree. 16-3, the playoffs, one of the best teams in the league in the regular season, dominant. But the Florida Panthers are right there.
Yep.
They're
and again, a fully healthy Florida Panthers team was able to beat the Hurricanes in Eastern Conference Finals in the past.
So if you're a Sens fan right now, Sherry was talking about like really mad. I'm disappointed. I'm mad. Did you feel like you were getting everything out of Brady Tkachuk down the stretch? It seemed to change for me in the Olympics, where when he came back, he just wasn't the same guy. And whether that was because he didn't like some of the questioning or he got banged up, and he was banged up, but he played through that. And when he came back, it was just like the highest of highs. And then you got to regroup again to be able to play. Like, do you think you got everything out of Brady Tkachuk? Because it felt like, for me, the answer was no. It totally felt like the answer was no. My gut instinct right now says the Ottawa Senators are going to be a better team. And I know, like, you guys know me. I am not a homer.
You are not.
And I don't know, but I am not one of these, oh, the guys on Ottawa, they think they're going to be okay without Brady Tkachuk. Like, that's laughable.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy.
No. In fact, Lee, you have called out other people for being homers on this very show.
Yes. I think appropriately got rid of the we that, other people talk about. But I just, like, I would watch games at the end of the year. Was I with you, Tanner? That one when I was rewinding it, and it's like, watch Brady Tkachuk on this play, like standing at the bench, and whoever it was, I have this vivid recall of Brady getting to the blue line, and the bench was there, and he was standing beside the player who ended up scoring the winning goal, and he just literally did nothing. Like, he just didn't skate, he didn't do anything, and you just watched him go in and score. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? I was very frustrated at his play in particular in the last couple of months, just because his bar is higher. His ceiling is higher, and he never got there. This sucks. I hate this for Sens fan. Sherry says it hurts because it feels like the Melnyk nightmare era.
Can you imagine if Pierre Dorion had to make this trade? What would you be talking about as a return today?
Yes.
Remember Mark Stone going and they didn't get a first-round pick back?
Yep.
That could be a lot worse.
I remember Mark Stone being traded and saying it was a great day for the organization, one of the greatest days for the organization.
Dorion's exact quote, I remember it. It was his proudest day as general manager, was making the Mark Stone trade.
For Eric Brandstrom.
The centerpiece, yes, Eric Brandstrom was the centerpiece. And remind me where Eric Brandstrom is playing now.
Yeah. Not for Ottawa.
Nope, not in the NHL.
Yep.
Brady certainly was not at his best the entire season. Certainly was a ghost during that 4-game series. Ottawa needed Brady to be better if they're going to have any chance at winning games. And that's the point. Like, Brady's ceiling is higher because he's Brady Tkachuk. We've seen how he plays. He's a superstar in the league when he wants to be. But he was nowhere close to that at the end of the year. And I hope it doesn't feel like the Melnyk era because Brady wants out. Again, I'll keep saying it. People don't want to hear it, but I will keep saying it. Is it possible that somebody that lives in the U.S. and his brother lives in the U.S. and his dad and his mom and his wife and his kid, they all live in the U.S. and that he just wants to go home and play in the U.S. And they're like, is that a crazy fault of a guy? And you'd way rather them trade Brady Tkachuk for 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick than lose him for, like, look what the Leafs didn't get for Mitch Marner, and look what Mitch Marner did this year. Although he, in his most crucial 3 games, by the way, it's my first chance to be able to say this, in his most crucial 3 games, -4 and 3 straight losses for the Vegas Golden Knights when Mitch needed to come up the most. And then there's a whole bunch of people that say the old Mitchie led the playoffs in points. Yeah, I know. I picked him.
You made it known you've picked him.
Oh, did I make it known that I won?
A couple of times. I don't know if people know this for those that are tuning in, but Versage did win the playoff fantasy hockey pool.
Cheers to that. Zach. Cheers to that. Like I said, I tried to make everyone else look good and lose, but I couldn't do it, folks. But like the whole point of that is Toronto got nothing for him because it came down to the wire and they wanted to play with him and they wanted to see if they had a chance and they ended up getting nothing for him. That didn't happen here. Right? As I'm talking, Tanner, I'm still thinking about that Tkachuk line.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not great for other teams. So to trade him in the division's tough. I'll ask you, Tanner. We can revisit this with some of the people that are listening. Do you think he gets booed when he comes back to Ottawa?
Yeah.
You do, eh?
I do.
Is that because people are mad right now? You think that right now? Or do you think like in a few months, cooler heads prevail? He was the captain. He was a fan favorite. They're going to play a nice video tribute. And then people in Ottawa are going to be all polite.
I mean, it might depend on what he says in the next couple of days. So I'm sure he's going to do a press conference and have some strong words on his own podcast that are going to make the rounds. But I mean, if DeBrincat got booed, I don't really see what the big difference is in this case.
Well, but because DeBrincat he wasn't the captain of the team. Like DeBrincat's different.
Does that not make it like more so though?
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure because DeBrincat got traded here. This has been Brady's team since he was drafted here. I knew Sherry's like, absolutely, we're going to boo him.
It's tough because, I mean, like, if you're looking on Twitter right now, probably, but I know that's a small vocal minority of the fan base.
No, hold on. I think it's fair right now. This guy, the captain of the Ottawa Senators, orchestrated a trade to get out of town behind people's backs and not tell anybody about it, when the last thing he said at the press conference was, I'm tired of being asked about this. All I've ever said is I want to be an Ottawa Senator. When he's the guy that went to the Senators and said, get me out of here. So I actually don't give a crap about what Brady Tkachuk says at the press conference. I don't. Because I'm out now on listening or believing anything that Brady Tkachuk has to say. I don't care. And good for him. If he wants to go home, just come out and say you wanted to go home. I don't know, like that.
Yep. It's the classic phrase, Lee, of actions speak louder than words. He could say a lot of things, but at the end of the day, that's what he did. And so,
yes, he orchestrated his way out of town. If people aren't mad about that right now as a Sens fan, you should be. And it doesn't mean it's not the best thing for the team long term. And it doesn't mean maybe you might applaud him when he comes back. But
it's going to be funny when he gets booed and then they play the tribute video for him and then they have to stand up and clap for all the
that's probably what will happen
the last couple of years. Yeah.
No, I'm telling you what's going to happen is people are going to act polite and cheer him like, he was pretty good for our team. Because people are mad now because they loved him. They're not mad because like a Sens player got traded. No, they're mad because this is the face of the franchise, the captain. The guy said, I want to be here. And people gravitated towards him. They leaned into him. Sherry says the captain always goes down with the ship. Well, not if you're an American captain in a Canadian town, but...
or a high-level American player.
Ted, I think it's possible, but ultimately he wants to compete for a cup. So like any player, he'll go what gives him his best shot. So that's another thing we really haven't talked about, which I think is an interesting point. Would we all agree that Brady Tkachuk's shelf life as a player with the way that he plays is not as long as other NHL players?
I would agree, yes.
For sure.
So if Brady doesn't think he's close to a cup, and he realizes that at turning 27 in the fall, How many good years does he have left to try and win a cup? What's the answer? That the way that Brady plays. What is it? 4 or 5?
I was going to say 3 to 5 years.
Like, I think of Brady Tkachuk in another 5 years, I don't know how good of a player he's going to be. So if he wants to win now, are the Sens going to win the Stanley Cup next year? No. Could Florida? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot here. I'm sure the noise in the market probably got to him a little bit this year as well, just with how much of it that there was. Obviously, the idea of going to play with his brother. And then I think a big part of this is Brady goes to Florida and he doesn't have to be the guy on that team.
Yeah.
Because he was the guy here. And no offense to Brady Tkachuk, I'm not sure he's a good enough player to be the guy on a Stanley Cup winning team.
And if we're being honest with ourselves, if you aren't necessarily like the leader, but you're a really good person in any business, it's like head coaches sometimes. But if you're like Mitch Marner, is it any surprise that once the pressure was a little bit off of Mitch Marner, that he went to Vegas and like played really, really well? Because he didn't have to be the guy in Vegas. He didn't have to take all the shit all the time. So yeah, like, is Brady going to be a better player because he doesn't have to be the guy on the Florida Panthers? 100%. And that's okay too. Maybe players just don't want that type of responsibility all the time. I don't know. How much do you fault them for that? First honest take I've heard without rage. Florida's gathered captains all under Barkov. Incredible how many were willing to give the captain's chair up. I think people actually want Michael to give it up rather than like, I guess I'll give it up because I have to fit in with the team. I think that's the narrative, but I actually think I can go, I can play. I don't have to take questions about laughing at the women's team. I don't have to take questions about the goalie going on leave. I don't have to take any of these questions from the national media as the captain of a franchise in Canada. I can just go be another player on another team. I actually think guys want that.
Yep.
Especially if they've been that before and they're just tired. They're tired of it all. They just want to go and play.
Especially in this case for Brady Tkachuk getting to play with his brother as well. On that team, on a team that has been to the Cup before. Like, I think in that situation, if I was Brady Tkachuk, I would also be like, I'd be pretty willing to give up that captaincy. You hear a lot about, how the Canadian hockey media, all that stuff, how they cover teams. If you're Brady Tkachuk and you hear what's talked about with, you go to this market, it's not as tough compared to being a Canadian hockey, being in a Canadian hockey market.
Yep.
It's much easier.
And that seems like it takes guys off the hook. But when you say easier, sometimes I'm like, that might make them better. Because all of the other pressure is off and they can just go play.
Yep. Some might call it easier, some might call it better. As you kind of alluded to.
Yeah, because it takes the pressure off the shoulders. The weight, not everyone is built for that weight all the time. Mm-hmm. And we've said that. I mean, the three of us have said it, and anyone who's been on this show has said it, but like, it's just different. He watches Matthew Tkachuk go from Calgary and being a reason why Calgary couldn't do anything to winning Stanley Cups and having the time of his life and going down and watching his brother win the Stanley Cup back-to-back years and seeing what that's like, seeing like the love of the American public to the gold medal winning team. And like, those guys can do no wrong. No one's going to be criticizing them at all. So if the Florida Panthers don't win the Stanley Cup next year, you think Brady Tkachuk's going to get criticized? No chance.
I mean, look at Quinn Hughes. He's having a much better time in Minnesota than he did in Vancouver.
Yep.
Connor Hellebuck, he's probably on his way out of Winnipeg. Who knows what's going on with Austin Matthews after that? Like, I think the league is changing, and it's going to be fascinating what goes on. Like, I wonder about some of those teams in the top 10 of the draft, some of those Canadian teams, if they've got a US guy versus a Canada guy on their radar, does that play into things at all?
Well, as we circle back to the Ottawa Senators, pretty sure Jake Sanderson and Shane Pinto are big parts of this team. How do they feel? I don't know. I have no idea. I would hope that they would feel like we have more of a chance to have bigger roles on the team, and this team will have a lot of cap space. I mean, depending on what they do with Giroux, depending on, some of the other decisions that they make, taking off Brady's and not adding it, they are going to have some flexibility.
I'm looking at it right now. The Senators have about $25 million in cap space.
That's without Giroux, correct?
Correct. But I mean, if they go with another bonus laden deal, it might only be $1 or $2 million off the cap.
Be very interesting to me if Claude wants to stick around.
I agree. You probably have, I don't know, 9 days to prove it to him.
Michael says biggest winner here is Vegas because Florida takes back the belt for most hated team.
The top heel of the NHL.
Maybe in Ottawa, but I don't know. It's pretty hard to take that the rest of the country.
Nothing wrong with being the most hated teams when you're successful.
Yep.
Sherry says Papa G can retire now. That's mean.
I do think there is a bit of smoke around Robertson right now.
Yep.
I've even seen, I don't know if you've seen this tweet from David Pagnotta in the last couple of minutes. You probably already talked about it, but I mean, he did break the Sam Miscavige deal this morning, so he is plugged in.
Yeah, well, he's one of those guys that he's like...
he throws a lot more out there than other insiders. I agree.
Exactly. So he's kind of, his percentage is lower for sure, but other guys are safety Sam. It's like Zach, safety Sam over here.
Yeah.
Guys like me and you, Tanner, we're a little bit more like David, right?
Well, I try to reason it out. I try to give a level take, and what do I get? Safety Sam moniker.
But I mean, that's the type of player they need if they want to turn things around.
March 19th, has Brady quit on Canada? He's quoting himself. Oh, that's nice.
I should start quoting myself on these shows. You know what? Actually, out of all of us, Lee Versage is the most likely to be quoting himself on. It's like that scene from The Office, right? It's like you miss 99% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. Like that's the Lee Versage method over here.
Tanner, watching the team this year and watching them play without Brady, it seems like to me, one of the bigger questions has to be, is Steve Staios locked in on what Jake Sanderson and Tim Stützle are doing? If they're committed and they want to be here and they want to be like the guys, I don't know if they're going to get a whole lot worse.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, how many games this year that they won where Brady probably wasn't even a top 5 player on the ice?
Yeah.
Like, they've got the number 1 center. They've got the number 1 defenseman. If Linus Ullmark can bounce back and play bang up average like he did down the stretch and into the playoffs, they're not in a bad shape going into next season. Obviously, you're short 2 top 6 forwards, but you have $25 million in cap space. You've got 4 first-round picks basically that you can work with now. So figure it out, plug a hole, make a play at Robertson, throw an offer sheet out there if they have to. Look at a guy like Pavel Dorofeyev, maybe. Like, they obviously, if they want to make the playoffs next year, they need to make a big move before the season starts.
Ben wanted to point out that offer Bork if the Robertson one doesn't work out.
I like Maverick Bork as a player. I think you're still banking a lot more on upside there, where Robertson's very much like a proven player. Like, I'm not against Maverick Bork, but he doesn't replace a Brady Tkachuk in the lineup.
Usually when you offer sheet guys, so you want the guys like really badly, but you're also putting the team in a really tough spot if they do sign them. And doing that with a team in the Western Conference doesn't really matter. Like, you're not doing that with a team in your division. Like when St. Louis did it with Edmonton, like they're trying to catch Edmonton, right? Like,
I think you could do that with a Robertson, or I mentioned Pavel Dorofeyev out in Vegas, because Vegas has $4 million in cap space, and they've got Dorofeyev and Anderson both up.
yeah.
I just think, why not? I mean, you don't lose anything there. To me, the better option, though, would be just trying to make a straight up trade to acquire one of those players with all the assets and cap space that you have now. Like, what would Dallas want for a Robertson extended 7 or 8 years? I forget if the new CBA has gone into effect now and they can only do 7, but what would Dallas want for Robertson at 7 years? That's where I'd be starting.
Yeah. I'm worried that this team's still going to, I know they have cap space now, but I don't want them overpaying Drake Batherson.
Yep.
I really don't. And so if you need to trade Drake Batherson,
what's your max with Drake that you would go to?
7.
7.
Yeah. Well, people are talking about 8 or 9 with him.
Yep.
I think just with the way the cap's going, 7 is kind of becoming like the new 5.
HKJP says Canadian teams stop drafting American-born players. Yeah, I don't know that we can group every one of them in the same. All right, like
it's just a different. It's just a different time compared to other years, right? Like, I don't think you just totally avoid getting away from U.S.-born players altogether.
I understand the mentality of not making them the franchise guy and the captain.
Yep.
With, Austin Matthews and Brady Tkachuk and the way things have gone. Like, I get that. But come on, Jake Sanderson's a great player. You're not going to take Jake Sanderson in the draft because he's American?
I think that's crazy.
Like, that, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, it's one thing to say, don't have him be the captain of your team or whatnot, like you said, but come on. Like, if the player is there, you take him.
Sherry says Sens need to stay away from the 30-plus age players. Yeah, look, depends on. Like, Claude Giroux was still really good for this team in the role that he had. But you can't bring in like a feature player that's going to be, 32, 33 years old. I don't think they're going to.
No.
I really do believe, though, that this opens up some room. If this really wants to be Tim Stutz's team, that Tim Stutz can be the face of the franchise that he would never be able to be with Brady Tkachuk here. And Jake Sanderson taking a major role. Maybe they want to do that. Maybe they don't want to do that. I don't know. Maybe they see the weight that comes with being the captain and other guys don't want that.
I think that's going to be really intriguing, is who takes it from here. It's obviously like a 3-man race between those two and Thomas Chabot.
Yeah, my thought with Chabot is that he's already shown, like, he doesn't need to be the captain to show leadership. He showed a ton this year by coming back from the broken arm and just gutting out and playing like unbelievably long minutes. And like everything he did this year was like, yeah, that guy is a leader on the team. I don't think you need to put the C on him to have him. Like, I don't think he's going to change.
Agreed. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe you don't want a guy to change. You just want to recognize what he's already doing. And I think it did come pretty close to Chabot being named the captain when Brady was a number of years ago. I'd be hesitant with Sanderson, personally. Love the player. He's probably my favorite to watch on the Sens. I think he's a great, quiet leader. But I think just with this situation, I just wonder if the organization would be just a little hesitant giving it to another American back-to-back.
Or he steps up and says, like, you know what? I'm proud to be the leader of this team, and I want to be the leader that to get this team to another level. I am that guy. to take us there. I don't know if he's the guy that would say that, but Ryan in Bytown says, I wanted Verhaeghe. Why?
Yeah, there were some reports that Verhaeghe and Lundell were asked.
And I said this, Lundell's a really good player. So they're good players for Verhaeghe. But imagine if you're Carter Verhaeghe and they didn't get the second round pick in 2030 and they got, say 3 first round picks, but the only player coming was Carter Verhaeghe. He's always going to be compared to the guy that got traded for Brady Tkachuk.
Yep.
You don't need that.
Yeah. Verhaeghe doesn't move the needle as much. Like Lundell would be great.
Yeah.
That would have been a nice player to get, but I also understand why Florida wants to keep a player like that.
The Sens have one of the worst prospect pool, if not the worst in the league. That's why they need to use some of those picks. And yeah, we talked about that earlier. And that's another part of this puzzle here, which I do applaud the Ottawa Senators a lot that they didn't bring back a player because they felt forced to. Their prospect pool sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible. They need to refill the cupboards.
Yeah. And for those that might be just hopping into the stream, because we are 2.5 hours in talking about Brady Tkachuk getting traded to the Florida Panthers. But I mentioned earlier, I'm somebody that, because I'm in Belleville, so I go to the Belleville Senators games, have been on the broadcast for some of those Belleville Sens games as well. I'm telling you, just going to those games, I know as an Ottawa Sens fan, you want to focus on your Ottawa teams and how they're doing. But if you want to get that next group of prospects coming up, it can't just be Carter Yakimchuk that's down in Belleville right now. And we'll probably get the call up, and they think highly of him. He'll probably be as part of that defensive pairing in that top 4 next year. But they need to really load up the cupboard here. So, seeing some moving up for a player, and I get it, especially when the position that the Sens are in, playoff contenders last couple of years now, and you want to try and find ways to kind of fill up that hole. But this is also a prime opportunity to find some players in the draft and really refill that cupboard and get that prospect pool filled up, because it is not a great situation right now.
Right. You have to fill it up. You have to. Ryan says we got better value than the Leafs got for Marner. Yeah, well, that's the point. You couldn't let this happen. And Brady wanted out anyway. Mitch didn't necessarily want out. He just was going to let things play out. Right? Mm-hmm. Stop letting teams say top 10 protected. Make a point and say no. It can only be top 3 protected, or I won't do the deal. Well,
yeah. So, it's the 2030 pick that's top 10 protected in this deal. The other one is not. Yeah, the 2029. Yeah. The 23 is the second.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's sure, I guess, but that's so far down the line.
Those players are 14 and 15 years old right now. Florida's trying to keep some. They know they're going to be bad later, so they probably didn't want to. Maybe Ottawa talked them into a first round pick, but it was only going to be top 10 protected, or else it was going to be a second, because Florida knows they're going to be bad. Right? They're making run after run after run. They're going to have to restock at some point as well.
Yep.
And I believe that was their next first round pick. Yeah, they don't have their 2027 or their 2028. Those have already been dealt.
Yeah, so you do understand. Do I think they should have gotten more? Maybe. But
I don't know how much more you were going to get.
Yeah.
I think it's close, I think, to the Hughes return that Vancouver got. And I think Quinn Hughes is a lot better of a player than Brady Tkachuk. I know, controversial opinion there, but I don't hate the return. It's what Esteo's going to do now, because this team walks in without adding a big player now. They're not going to make the playoffs, or they'll be a fringe team. But they've lost a lot of talent here. I don't know.
You do remember, though, the last 3 months where they basically had to play 750 hockey, winning 3 of every 4 games with Cam Crotty and Jordan Donovan and Carter Yakimchuk and like
Lassie Thompson got a call up in there.
Lassie Thompson, James Reimer in goal. You remember all that, right?
Yeah, I do.
And they still were able to do it. So with everybody else healthy, this isn't to say that they're not going to add anybody. I just don't know if they need to add like 2 or 3 guys right now. I think if I'm being real honest, I think they played really, really well for Travis Green in the defensive side. And I don't think Brady bought into that at all. That's not to say Brady was a bad player and Brady didn't do other things that weren't good for the team. He did. But like, I can tell you who I thought the biggest cheater in the NHL or on the Sens was each and every night. And that was Brady Tkachuk. He would hang up at the red line. He wouldn't skate back. He would do all kinds of things that weren't what the rest of the players were doing. I don't know if they're going to be as bad as people think. I think the rest of the guys have bought into the philosophy. It's just about now adding the right guys and moving on and knowing that they can still be as good. They got to do something in goal. I still am leaning towards Stuart Skinner coming here. Not because not because I want to, because it sounds like he's going to. Maybe paying more for him than you should, but you're also trying not to have James Reimer as your backup. So
I agree. I think just the part that scares me more is the division. Like if we were talking about this in the Pacific Division, I'd say, yeah, they probably are fine. But like, I don't think Tampa's going anywhere. Buffalo, Montreal, the Panthers are going to be in the playoffs next year. I think it's pretty clear at this point.
Yeah.
So it only gets harder from here unless you are going to bring in another guy. You think Detroit wants to miss another year? Although, man, could be a lot worse, Sens fans. Wait until the Dylan Larkin trade goes down.
It is about what they do from here. And of course, other teams are getting better. But they still have, they're going to have a lot of cap room. They now have some assets to do something with, and it is about what they do from here. And Zach, you would know this. It's not unlike the Dallas Cowboys when they traded Micah Parsons days before the season started. And everyone's like, you just traded the best player by far. And was he the best player in the deal? Yeah. But the Dallas Cowboys, for non-football fans, have got like 4 or 5 pieces now on their defense because of the Micah Parsons trade.
Yep.
I think they're better overall than they were going to by paying Micah Parsons and then nobody else. I think they're better, but it's about what they did with those, bringing in Quinnen Williams, bringing in, who's the guy from Green Bay?
Not Rashawn Gary, but the defensive tackle, Kenny Clark.
Kenny Clark.
They brought in. Yeah.
Kenny Clark. But they have revamped their entire team based off the Micah Parsons deal. And they look like they're going to be a whole lot better. So can the Sens do that now with some assets? That's right, Julian. It only took me 2 hours and 38 minutes, but yeah, we're talking about it's an actual good comparison.
I was going to say, I thought that was a pretty solid comp. I'm a Cowboys fan too, but let's go.
They traded their best player, their franchise guy. They traded him.
Yep.
And got nothing back but draft picks and Kenny Clark, but they got draft picks, but they used those draft picks and went out and traded for Quinnen Williams.
Yep.
It's like if the Sens use those draft picks and go out and trade for Jason Robertson. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to continue to bring it back to hockey, that trade with Micah Parsons set the standard for the Myles Garrett trade we saw a few weeks ago, and them moving on. Could that be something that sets the stage for an Austin Matthews trade down the line? Something to think about.
I think we're getting in a couple of other big moves this summer.
Yeah.
Like obviously the Larkin one is still coming. We know that's happening, but I feel like Hellebuck or Matthews at the very least.
I think both of them are gone.
Wouldn't shock me. But I mean, the Leafs did just hire his favorite coach apparently. So we'll see if Jim Hiller moves the needle.
Yeah, I'm not going to laugh at Jim Hiller. I'm going to, because I don't know that they were going to bring in anybody that people are going to go, oh, yeah, that guy's going to solve the problem. Like if Berube couldn't solve the problem and like, you know, they've had big names there before and it couldn't solve the problem. So I don't know that Jim Hiller is any like different, good or bad, but I also don't know that Austin Matthews is staying because Jim Hiller is the coach. They're still going to be not great. Right? They're still not going to be a Stanley Cup contender. So why would Austin Matthews want to stay now? The market's now been set. A gold medal winning American captain of a Canadian franchise being traded? Like, the market's been set.
Yep.
What happens if the Panthers get Hellebuck as well? Do we phone in the season right now?
Throw our hands up in the air.
We'll give the Stanley Cup out in July.
because Carolina Hurricanes are the best team in the NHL, even if they get Hellebuck. And Florida's got to get through 82 games healthy and ready to go. And if they can't do that with some older players, yeah, they got hurt this year. I think it's a one-off, but they still have to do it. They still have to get through that season. Oh, what a life. What a life. Brady Tkachuk traded to the I knew, you know what, Julian? As soon as I said it, I'm like, 84 game season now. Yep, you're right. As soon as I said 82, you think these guys would correct me, Julian? Nope. It's because I take up too much oxygen in the room. That's why, right, Zach?
Yeah, we go into our group chats and Lee's coming in demanding a trade. And
Brady Tkachuk traded to the Florida Panthers. Wow. In return, the 9th and 25th overall pick and the 2029 first round top 10 protected pick, 2030 second round pick coming back. What else is to come? Well, I can tell you here on OSN, draft coverage coming up this week, Friday, the first round suddenly becomes a lot more interesting. Ottawa's got 3 picks. They can't trade one of them, but they still have 3 picks.
Will they still have 3 by the time we get to Friday?
Yeah.
That's also a great question.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to dig into those scouting reports now and get a sense of what's to come.
I think we'll be live, I think, more than once this week.
Maybe that's why we fought so hard for the 2026 pick. Yep, because they can't trade the last one that they have. But remember when they didn't have one? Like a month ago?
Now they have 3. How that happened?
What a time for the Ottawa Senators. And what a year. Like, what a crazy, for a team that barely just sort of got like from the outside, they got into the 8th spot and they got swept in the first round of the playoffs. But from the inside, Linus Ullmark, everyone going down in the last 2 months of the season. Trading of the captain, Brady Tkachuk. What a season for the Ottawa Senators. All right, boys, we'll be live throughout the week. We'll be back. I do want to thank very much people tuning in to the program. Got a bunch of people from around the United States and Canada, and we very much appreciate that. Thanks for jumping on, Tanner. Hope everything is okay.
Yep.
And Zach, yeoman's work. Brady Tkachuk is traded. I call Zach and made some calls and like, all right, time to go.
Yep. And here we are. I saw that phone ring. I'm like, oh, I think this is one Lee Versage calling. And just as I was finishing up a call with my dad, I was like, oh, and saw the news. Like, I think need to get on some of the OSN programming here.
Yeah. Happy Father's Day, James. Happy Father's Day, everybody. You're not a dad yet, Tanner. Okay, right?
No.
Yeah, we can confirm that right here.
No.
All right.
That was funny though. That popped me.
It was. It popped me too.
Come back in 5 years. We'll talk.
Thanks, everybody. And like I said, we'll be around all week long. Thank you very much for tuning in. Brady Tkachuk traded to the Florida Panthers on Father's Day Sunday night. How about that? I didn't have that on my bingo card either. That we're gonna be doing that tonight. So thanks, boys. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate it, and we'll be back with you. I'm sure a lot this week, but definitely towards the end of the week for some NHL and Sens draft coverage. What is the world going to be like here in Ottawa without Brady Tkachuk? Who's the captain? Who's going to step up? What else are they going to do with their draft capital, with their cap room? They got 3 first-round picks. This week has become very, very interesting here in the nation's capital. So we appreciate it. Thanks very much. Have a good night from everybody here at OSN.